Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nice one. Okay, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
Present.
Trustee Pazmino?
Present.
Trustee Consolino?
Present.
Trustee Fialco?
Present.
Trustee Laha?
Present.
Mayor Yukich?
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay. Okay. We have a special presentation today for the Homer Stallions recognition. We want to congratulate the Homer Stallions lightweight team on their Super Bowl win. The team won the River Valley Youth Football League championship game on Sunday, November 7th. The Homer Stallions lightweight team hit an 11-0 win-loss record. Absolutely outstanding performance. I would like to recognize J.R. White, president of the Homer Stallions, and along with Paul Massett, head coach for the lightweight team. I would also like to recognize the entire team for their outstanding performance. We have certificates for each player, and I will let their coaches read their names and call them up for a certificate. After receiving your certificate, please line up along the side so we can do a group photo. I ask the audience to hold their chairs and applause until all team members are up here. So, we'll start up here. Okay.
This is on. First, we'd like to thank you all for having us. Thank you to the village. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Homer Stallions are super excited for the relationship with all of us moving forward and super proud of this group. Just can't say enough about this group, and super proud and super happy to be here. So our team, we do not have our entire team due to some other sports, but we're going to announce the boys that are here and make a quick recognition of the boys that are not. Starting at the back. All right. Audible. First, we have Joey Zubek, number 99. Joey. You guys want?
Gotta go get your thing. Go get your work.
Get your paper, man. I gave him 4 hours.
Thanks, Sue. Right there. Right there. We'll start from the very end.
Oh.
Let's start with this one.
Real close.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
All right, so this gentleman's right here.
Jackson Bailey.
Is that you there, sir?
Yeah.
Alex is not here.
Alex is on.
Oh, he's not.
All right, go next. Jackson.
Yeah.
He's got a busted arm.
Anthony Palumbo.
I feel like it's close too.
Oh, they got it right.
John Rosa. Yep. Evan Smith. Jimmy White. Hank Tabashevich. It's a tough one.
All the training and the tires in the backyard.
TJ Coleman. Double D. Yeah, he's here. Derek De La Cruz. Noah Hendricks.
He's not here. He's not here. He's not here. Chris is here.
Who's here?
Who's here?
Cole Wozak. Chris Zamboli. Jake's here. Jake Schmelter. Chase Massett. Jake Pfeiffer. He's here. Leo Saucedo. And Tyler Lanzi. Gavin Peary. Maxton Klinger. Brady Connolly. Bart Gal. Robbie Hawk. Joey Zubek. We'd also like to thank our entire coaching staff. Chris Zamboli, Coach Larry Kilmer, Coach Brian Klinger, Coach Brian Bailey, Coach Paul Massett, our team moms, Kelly White, Joe Coleman, and Regina Pfeiffer. Please come up and take a picture.
Okay, but you know what, you guys, can you step at this line, okay? Robbie, move on the other side of time. Make sure your certificates are the right way. Not upside down.
Make sure we can see your faces. Take your mask off and make sure it's smile. Your chest right here. Off your face. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, look up, guys. Mark, look up. Got it? 1, 2, 3.
We good? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, they already did. Yeah, that one kind of got away from us. We'll wait till they get out this way, everyone can hear.
Excuse me.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes of August 25th, 2021 Village Board meeting?
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 22nd, 2021 Village Board meeting?
So move.
Second.
Asmino. Reinders. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve the minutes of October 13th, 2021 Village Board meeting?
So move.
Second.
Asmino. Consolino. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. I'll start off with Saturday was a very great event for the Homer for the holiday celebration. I would like to thank everyone that came out to join us. Holiday lights will be on in Heritage Park from December 4th through January 3rd. Lights are on from approximately 4:45 to 11 p.m. each night during the season. The lights can be admired from the road, or you can take a walk through the park and enjoy some of the nice photo opportunities. I would also like to give a big thank you to all of our sponsors, vendors, staff, and volunteers for putting on a great event. Second, I don't know if it's gotten through the village enough, but over the past few weeks, I've spoken with dozens of residents who are concerned about the forest preserves, deer culling Homer Glen. In response, called Director Schultz last week to express my own concern and remind him of the 2012 referendum when our residents overwhelmingly voted against the culling. I was disappointed in his explanation and do not agree with this measure is necessary in our village. I will continue to put pressure on the Forest Preserve to make sure this practice does not continue in the future. And if you want to, and it would probably be very good, call the Forest Preserve District. There's not many deer in Homer Glen. I mean, a few years ago, there were some. Now, you're lucky to see one or two of them. So call the Forest Preserve and tell them what you really feel about on this. Next, we'll go to the trustees. How about we start with Trustee Reinder?
Oh, thank you. I'm excited.
Merry Christmas, Rose.
Just made her day.
Okay, this weekend in Homer for the Holidays, it was really a huge success. There were so many people out there. It was so nice to see the community come together. I just want to really give a shout out to John Robinson and his team. They did an amazing job. They worked so hard. I don't know if everybody knows, but I mean, they usually start putting the park together November 1. So I have to really give them a shout out. And also, Brent Woods, thank you so much for securing that great stage. We were able to decorate it. It was so nice having everybody above the crowd like that. And then Sue Stylen and Amy Blank for their amazing, I'm going to get choked up.
Aww.
Their amazing creativity. I mean, in their coordinating efforts. Nicole and I are so grateful that you let us be a part of your team for that. We enjoyed it thoroughly. Okay, for the last 14 years, with the exception of last year, there has been a tree lighting ceremony in Homer Glen. Last year, due to COVID, the village took to the streets in parade fashion to spread the spirit of Christmas. The parade was organized to replace the annual tree lighting because of COVID restrictions. They prevented anyone from gathering, so therefore they figured if they could drive through the neighborhoods and bring a little cheer to everybody, that would be nice. Even with the best intentions, the parade took 5 hours and covered 53 miles within the village. This year, the staff decided to concentrate on bringing the community together at Heritage Park as they have done in the past. in keeping with tradition. Unfortunately, our village clerk was not satisfied with their decision and took to social media to incite the residents with deliberate lies stating the trustees, mainly myself, were to blame for no parade this year. The same village clerk who took to social media to incite our farmers, stating that the trustees, mainly myself, were targeting and singling them out with threats of an amusement tax to subsidize a splash pad and ice rink for Heritage Park. In the spirit of transparency, the truth is that the municipal tax levy that was imposed on the residents by the previous board to cover the operating expenses of the Public Works Department was not enough then, and it is not enough now. The truth is that the motor fuel tax is not enough to sustain the operation of our parks, and every year there is a shortfall. To date, the shortfalls are being filled with funds that were earmarked for capital projects. The truth is that for the past few months leading up to now, this board has been faced with a difficult decision on how to proceed and properly fund these departments without the burden falling on the residents again. The truth is, we are exploring every possible avenue to secure additional funding, including cutting capital projects, exploring an amusement tax on ticket sales, amending the gaming ordinance, increasing sales tax, and legalizing the sale of cannabis. Exploring being the operative word here. The truth is, Madam Clerk, that you should get the facts straight before you attempt to distort the truth. And I have nothing further.
Thank you. Trustee Pasmino.
Sir, I have nothing to report. Go Homer Stallions.
Well, they're going now.
We'll go for them
Make sure
anyway.
that we do say it
They're
again.
going to see this video. I'm not worried about it.
Okay. Trustee Laha.
Thank you. I'd like to repeat basically what Rose said about the holiday, Homer for the Holidays. Sue and Amy, it was a pleasure to work alongside you and to see, you know, your work in progress. It was really nice and thank you for including us. Thank you again, John and the staff, Brent Woods again for the stage, absolutely. Thank you to Oak Prairie and Homer Junior High for providing our chorus that night. I think it really added to the night. A huge thank you to Edge Music Academy. They played for hours,
yeah.
And it was so cold, and they literally kept going. I think someone was joking on staff, and it was like the Titanic. They just kept going, but it was just so beautiful, and it kept the whole morale up. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. The ice sculpture demonstration was really cool to see. I enjoyed that, so thank you for that. Thank you to Sparkles Entertainment for providing our Rudolph and our snowman. It was just really, it was really nice. I have to say, when the lights all lit up and Santa counted down, I almost teared up. I just thought it was really cool. I'm a softie like that, but so thank you. It was really nice. Now I'm going to be reporting for the Ability Awareness Committee. The Ability Awareness Committee was asked to be part of the selection process for the HTRD Special Needs Grant, and I'm honored to be part of it. I'm honored to be part of the selection process. And if you want to nominate someone, or if you yourself would like to apply for the grant, we have all of the information on our village website, along with a very extensive Q&A section answering all your questions. A huge thank you to Stacy. You have been putting a labor of love into this, and I really, really appreciate the help. Any questions that you have regarding the application process itself, or information, or maintaining privacy, I completely understand as a mother of a special needs child myself. So please feel free to reach out. You know, we're just really happy to do this. I think it's a really positive and a really great thing for us to be celebrating. There's going to be a banquet on January 13th. Trustee Reinders is going to be hosting that for us at Taza, so all are welcome to come and celebrate. Also, the last thing I'm going to report for Ability Awareness Committee is we have our first roundtable discussion planned for the end of January. And the purpose of this roundtable discussion is to invite conversations within the community regarding, for specifically this topic, is understanding your child's IEP. We have District 92, we are going to have representatives from 33C, we have community members that are professionals themselves that will be leading these conversations. So we invite you to come and take part and join in on the conversation. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Consolino.
Good evening, Homer Glen. I'd like to start on a very positive note and wish our beautiful community a very Merry Christmas and a very happy holiday season. With the holidays approaching rapidly, I want everyone to enjoy themselves. I also want you to enjoy our beautiful Christmas lights at Heritage Park. Our staff put in a lot of time and effort into our beautiful display and into our tree lighting ceremony, and I cannot say thank you enough, and I think everybody is pretty much saying that up here. You have helped to brighten our community after a year of a lot of ups and downs, so thank you. Due to the holiday season, I currently have nothing to report for the Environment and Public Safety Committees. I would like our residents to know that Lieutenant Holly and Public Safety are actively exploring options into dealing with the increase in crime within Homer Glen. I would like to reiterate what I stated publicly at our last board meeting. Please be vigilant. Please be aware of your surroundings. And please feel comfortable with calling 911 or non-emergency when you do see anything suspicious. Being proactive is a key deterrent with criminal activity, and the holidays are no exception. Criminals are opportunists, and unfortunately, they are willing to strike whenever they are given a chance. With all that said, unfortunately, I will need to change the tone of my speech now. There are numerous facts that need to be stated publicly for the record tonight, and each of these impact our community greatly, and I and the majority of these trustees all believe these facts need to be discussed loud and clear in front of our residents. Fact. Last week, we received an email from our staff explaining that we need to consider increasing the $1.5 million tax levy that the previous board members voted yes on. We were given 3 options, all for increasing this tax. The same tax that those board members claimed and have continued to claim were just temporary. It's not. I made this abundantly clear on the dais a few meetings ago, and I would also like to point out for the record that Trustee Pasmino did not vote for that tax. Fact. Since I was sworn into office this year, staff have repeatedly told me that we've had enough funding for the new Public Works Department. Clearly, we do not. Not when we are being told that we need to cover another $5 million on top of the current $1.5 million tax levy. Fact. We have not been presented with any alternative funding proposals, just an increase on our residents' tax dollars. I find that appalling and unconscionable. When talking about facts, here's something very disheartening. Our property taxes have gone up this past year. So has our water bill, so has our gas bill, so has our electricity, and so has the price of gasoline and groceries. And this village added insult to injury when it imposed a $1.5 million tax levy last year. The previous board did this on December 9th, 2020. It's almost exactly a year ago today. I watched that board meeting again earlier today, and numerous, and I do mean numerous, residents all came out and spoke against that tax that day, myself included. We begged for reason, we begged for them not to do it, and the previous board did not listen. On this same exact day, Homer Township filed a lawsuit against the village in regard to the road district and its assets, and the previous board did not take that into consideration. Fact. Since the newly elected board has been in office, we have diligently worked alongside Trustee Pasmino and with the township to ease the burdens set forth by the road district. Now the Village of Homer Glen Public Works, and now what is now the Village of Homer Glen Public Works. We were able to resolve this peacefully with the township's lawsuit. Supervisor Balich respectfully dropped that lawsuit. This was because of the newly elected board's willingness and effort to resolve that conflict. Fact. We also worked the past 6 months to obtain 6 parks from Homer Township. The parks were acquired, were given to the village at 0 cost, and they equal approximately 50 acres. Our village staff claims that this new acreage is now part of the reason that we must increase the tax levy. However, the township has provided me and the other trustees with the costs for the maintenance of that property. Their approximate cost from the levy for those 6 specific parks was approximately $150,000 for lawn maintenance. Fact. After personally investigating our village spending this past year, I discovered that our village and village attorney spent over $40,000 to what they called PR through an external political campaign public relations firm. I see this as campaigning. They do not. They stated that they were hired to promote why our residents and the residents of Homer Township should have all voted for the village to obtain the road district on November 3rd of last year. They also used them to attempt to persuade residents to accept the $1.5 million tax levy for the new Public Works Department that we hadn't even acquired yet. I would like to remind everyone, I had to FOIA our own staff and our village attorney to acquire any information regarding this. And just recently, our board voted for a resolution a couple months ago to obtain any further information regarding Seraphin and Associates. To date, we've received nothing. Big fact, a big one, zero transparency. And we went against our own ordinance here at the Villages for no spending over $10,000 without board approval and ordinances regarding public media. Fact. Myself and the other newly elected trustees, along with Trustee Pasmino, have all been brainstorming the past few months regarding how to deal with the crisis of funding the new Public Works Department. We are currently exploring numerous, and I mean numerous, options to fund the Public Works Department instead of looking at increasing the current tax levy. Fact. The last fact that I just gave you is exactly why we called an emergency special meeting on Halloween in order to explore a last-minute possibility of a push and pull tax with gambling. That, due to the state laws were changing, we only had a 24-hour window to decide if we were going to do this or not. And the board consensus was not to do it. These are all facts. And during the midst of all of this, during this past month, I and the other trustees have now had to deal with the obstacles of our own elected officials. These obstacles are simple. In fact, they're just rumors, conjecture, and false statements. Rumor one, our village clerk enraged farmers, small businesses, and residents by stating to them that we were coming after them with taxes and looking to hurt our businesses. Our clerk did not address the deficit issue. Instead, she stated to the above that the village has plenty of money. These comments are false. There's also another issue regarding a Christmas parade and adding more committees with the village. One of our trustees already addressed this. Rumor number two, Trustee Rogers has stated to residents that she knows exactly who the board will be hiring as a village manager. She's gone on record for giving the first name as Bill. I would like to know exactly how she came about this information because I haven't seen one name, I haven't seen one resume or one application. As a fiduciary for this village, I think it's imperative to be honest and present our taxpayers exactly with what is going on in this village, especially when all of the above impacts each and every one of us. I was elected to be brutally honest. I was elected to listen to our community as a whole. I listened a year ago when our community came out en masse to speak up against the tax levy for the Public Works Department. I listened again to it today. I also want to state for the record that I do listen to the residents and the disgruntled former trustees who are very, very vocal against this board and very negative. People who claim that we are a board in discord, clearly and honestly, we are not. We have a record now of how we have worked together and worked effectively. A few bad apples on this board do not define this board. Trustees who are speaking honestly, demonstrating true transparency, and working diligently to make a difference to improve our municipality and ensure that we are adhering to the policies and the ordinances that have been set forth by this municipality does not mean discord. It means that we are doing the job that the majority of this town voted for us to do on April 6th. Merry Christmas, Homer Glen. I am nothing like my predecessors, and I will not be voting to increase your tax levy. Happy New Year, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Next would be Trustee Fialco.
Oh, all right. What I have nothing to report about ANF or the fest at the moment, but what I'd like to do is say congratulations, Stallions, once again. I'd like to say thank you to Amy Blank and to Sue Stallion and Nicole and Rose for all the effort they put into Homer for the holidays. It turned out fantastic. The turnout of all the people, it was amazing to see how many people were there that night. So if you haven't done that yet, take the time to go to your favorite coffee shop and get a coffee or a hot chocolate and walk the park during the holiday season. There's no cost to do it, and it's absolutely beautiful. The other thing I'd like to say is our community is made up of so many wonderful families and businesses, and being that we're not going to have a meeting, as far as I know, on December 22nd, I'd like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody in the village. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Village Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to apologize to the residents for the 2 trustees that clearly just came out here and made false accusations, made up complete lies, and some serious accusations. The truth is, you 2 are clearly clueless, and I deeply apologize to these residents that they have to suffer through these long-winded reports that unfortunately are just blatant lies and an attack on old board members. So I do apologize for that, and I truly hope that one day we can try to work together and work for the benefit of this village instead of sitting up here and trying to attack each other. Trustee reminders, the truth is I never went on Facebook or social media to talk about farmers being taxed or whatever it is. You can clearly ask them. I see a few of them out here for yourself. And I went to social media about a Santa parade because unfortunately I was uninformed on the Santa parade not happening. And since our Stallions had one state, our 33C baseball team has one state, we had a veteran come home, and because we were anticipating our Lockport Porters winning state, I thought that would be a great idea to have them all involved in a parade, which the community did rally behind. Not to mention, last year, the parade was such a success that many residents had reached out and asked if we were doing it. So I do apologize to staff that I was unaware that we were not doing the parade. However, I did think it was a great idea. So your accusations are once again false. So I really, truly hope we can start at some point to work together. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Christine. Next would be village attorney.
No report, Your Honor.
Next would be public safety officials. Thank you, Lieutenant Holly.
Thank you from the fire district, Mayor. I know I'm not usually here, but the fire district just wanted to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody, and also a reminder that we have our red wreaths on the firehouses. So for everyone to keep a nice fire-safe holiday and make sure we keep the wreath red. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Back to you. Next would be interim village manager.
No report.
Okay.
Was there anything?
I have no report.
Next is public comment. We have anything on it? Thank you, sir. Okay, first would be Greg Stevens.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I'm Greg Stevens. I'm here to represent A Touch of Green for item, I guess, number 11 on the agenda. If you have any questions, I will be here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next would be Barack Backel. Oh, boy.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, I just have 10 seconds I want to spend, and I hope I don't get charged for it. What I have to say is going to take about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so I should be okay regardless. The Stallions were here. Larry Kilmer is an amazing guy. My son is 27 years old, and when he was 9 years old, he played for the Stallions, and Larry Kilmer was there then. And he was there years before my son played, and he's still there today. And the Stallions wouldn't exist if it weren't for Larry Kilmer. He's really a tribute to our community, so I just wanted to say that. Okay, the great economist Milton Friedman once stated that there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program. Why do you think I brought that up today? Well, last May, we were all told that the new trustees needed their own attorney. Trustee Norma Castellino assured all of us newbie residents that this new attorney would only be around from time to time. He would not be at all of the board meetings. He would be available only when they needed him. Now, one of two things are going on here. Either Trustee Castellino and the other trustees all lied to us newbie residents, or this guy is just a figment of our imagination, because I've seen him here at every single board meeting. Temporary indeed. Now, let's debunk the next new program that this board has come up with. It seems that the best way to pay for all the new spending that this new board has burdened us newbie residents with is now to tax the Bankston, the Konos, and whoever else they deemed successful enough to be punished with a new amusement tax. I have a new tax for Rosie to explore here. Let's make this new tax more equitable. Let's tax Rosie Rinders $1 per plate of pasta at her restaurant. Let's tax Ruben Pazmino $1 per margarita at his restaurant. And let's pull the first $100,000 of that tax to pay for this temporary new attorney. The next $100,000 we can use to pay for maintenance on all the new parks that all of you voted to take on from the township. All of these board members ran on a platform of people, not politics, yet everything that they have put forward reeks of politics. I think a more truthful platform would have been politics and the hell with the people. A tax for thee, but not for me. No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be Wayne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me start out by, on a positive note, by thanking the board and the mayor for, on Veterans Day, providing the veterans in Homer Glen the box, the little thing there. Thank you very much. I really, on behalf of all the veterans in Homer Glen, I know we all appreciated it. Having said that, to support the previous person that just made the mention about this new attorney, a question in my mind is that that the October bills for the second attorney is around $4,700, and I'm rounding it off. What are we getting for it? What is the trustees getting for that you voted for? The Homer residents would like to know that, not only me. Also on the agenda is the purchase of the John Deere lawnmower. I had the opportunity to look into the details on that, and you know, at first I was shocked by the amount or the cost of the item. But then after looking through the bill, I saw that, you know, we were getting 23% discount for this, that, and the other thing. So it brought it down from $81,000 to $62,000. So I want to thank John for helping the village, you know, keep costs down in that respect. And the last thing I wanted to mention was on the agenda, there's consider for approval direction to staff related to the proposal of the City of Joliet Water Commission. Why does the trustees not trust the people that we have to run the village? There's no need for that to come up before your board and waste your time. You need to have faith in the people that are running the village. And on a side note, I don't think it's appropriate that the trustees should be airing negative comments about whomever at the board. That's not appropriate. The trustees should be commenting on what they're doing with their different positions. Thank you very much.
Wayne, could I ask you, I don't normally do this, but...
Wait. We don't, public comment, we don't...
No, I can. We're not supposed, it's not that we're not supposed to. We're told we normally shouldn't.
Go ahead and ask your question.
Wayne, could you elaborate on the water comment and exactly what you're talking about? I don't know if you know the specifics. You're talking between Joliet and Illinois American Water. What are you specifically saying?
Item J15.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
And they're looking for the trustees are looking to give direction to the staff on what should be done with that commission.
Right, and you said let the village do?
Let the people that we have working for the village on a daily basis make that decision. And if they need to come to the trustees, okay, then so be it.
Do you understand that $74 million, and we do approve that process, right?
Yes.
Have you dug into details to understand the difference between Joliet and who it'll help and who it won't help?
No, I didn't.
Okay, you might want to do that. And the other thing is, if you'd like to know what the attorney is spending, all you have to do is look at that item itself in the consent agenda, and you'll see there are many things on there that take in the trustee, the clerk, the mayor, and a few other things. So it's available if you want to look on the agenda to see where the money's being spent. You sound like you were very concerned about that, so I want to share that with you, that you're able to find that. And then you can compare notes to both attorneys to see how specific some things are and how specific some things aren't. Thank you for your comment, Wayne.
Can I follow up with a question?
Yes,
Sure.
you can.
You said it was in the consent agenda. Do you mean a website?
I'm sorry?
Is this information on the website?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's under the agenda for today's date. And then you can find it under the consent agenda for each attorney. Yes.
All right, well, before we go any further, you just can't spit something out. You have to get the approval from me to be able to say it. All I'm trying to do is just make sure that this meeting goes the way it should be. As for beating each other up, that's the worst thing you can possibly do. And I don't know why you find it the need, because, Jennifer, you've done this a few times to where you just kind of blow up on something. And half the stuff you said, I can prove it wrong, but we'll do that another time. But to publicly beat up the people that have been doing this for so many years, there's nothing wrong with this village. We haven't done anything to be ashamed of. And you're bringing up stuff that has to be done, and we're bringing up stuff that you guys have all agreed on. So we're going to go with the meeting. We're going to keep it to where it's proper. No one's going to be yelling at each other, or I'm going to ask you to leave, because enough is enough. You know, this is a village board that's trying to work for our residents. This is nothing about us. This is about the residents that are in this village that we decided that we would run to help them. Where is the help at? I don't see anything even on this agenda that's helping any of the residents in here. This is so ridiculous and such a waste of time. You know, everyone talking behind everyone's back and going on that crazy piece of crap that's called Facebook. Jesus Christ, grow up.
Legislative Council, I'd like to ask a question, please.
You just did it again. Can you ask me first?
To ask for Legislative Council, I have to ask you, sir. Is that factual? No. Okay. Since that's not factual, I'd like to ask you one more question. If I have, and it's public comment, and I would like to ask somebody that's giving a public comment, do I have to ask the mayor's permission to ask a question to the person who is giving the public comment?
You should say to the mayor, I would like to address the individual.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all
That
I'm
has not
asking.
happened before, so there is,
You do not need permission. Proper protocol is to address it to the mayor.
all right, thank you, sir.
I'd like to address the individual.
And go ahead, Trustee Fialko, if you have something to say, go ahead and say it.
No, I already did. That was the question to Legislative Council.
Okay. Next one would be Robert Arndt.
Hello. Never been to one of these meetings before.
Well, welcome to this meeting.
Pretty intense.
Isn't it fun?
Pretty intense, huh? Wasn't
Yeah, I think this
expecting
is just a blast lately.
Since I don't know anybody, I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm actually here with my wife, my lovely wife, to ask for help from somebody because we don't know where to get help from. We've been here for 22 years. Love Homer, Glen. The last couple of years have been really rotten for us. We have we live on 147th Street. We have a illegal, huge fire log business next to us. My wife will show you some of the pictures. It's noisy 7 days a week for us. They got bobcats, machinery. I don't think anybody has to live like this. guy delivered the semi-load on Thanksgiving. You know, it's pretty insane to, you know, wake us up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, we've sent emails to some of the board members. I don't know how this works. I don't know if anybody got it. That's why I'm here. We get 3 minutes. Nobody says, hey, we got it or something. It's just been something. And the guy, nice to meet you, Joe. Joe has been actually taking some action recently, and I appreciate that. Trying to get these people out of there. They kind of lie. They have no intention of moving. When he gave them like a notice, they're putting up a fence and they're putting cameras on us and trying to intimidate us. My wife comes out of the house. Our neighbor jumps on his lawn tractor and rides up and down following her. It's really, I'm too old for all this stuff. The only reason I'm here is maybe to meet, they said we have a village lawyer, to keep on them. We put up with this. I asked the guy last year to kind of, you know, your business is great, it's just too much. You could see from the pictures, nobody should live like this. And they have no intention of moving. The guy doesn't even live here, owns a business. He lives in Orland, has no business license, pays no taxes, does nothing for Orland, but create liability if something happened. No commercial license. I don't want to wait 2 years to go through courts to get rid of this guy. I'm just hoping we keep pressure on him, and the lawyer does, because there's no reason we shouldn't. He has plenty of money. Somebody should do an audit of his taxes, what he made last year on that. He claims he can't move and all this stuff. And I'm asking for your help, or just my 3 minutes, you know, not 3 minutes of fame, but 3 minutes just to say something here. So, and that's all. So you could see from the pictures what we're dealing with. It's pretty, we can't exaggerate
it. We just want
it.
our home back, that's all. We just want peace and quiet, nature and harmony. There's a business that should not be there.
Okay.
They're not zoned for it.
We will have someone look into it.
We've actually been working on this. They've been cited for their violations. They're doing court next month. We're just only going to the attorney, proper action, doing everything.
Okay.
Okay, so we're ahead of the game.
Yeah, no, I'm just,
They're all aware of this. They've been up.
okay, that's, we're done. Thank you.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Megan Olson?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Olson, and I am the Special Assistant Will County State's Attorney's Office, or Will County State's Attorney, who is here on behalf of agenda item line number J6. I'm here this evening with Attorney Mike Ryan, who represents the property owner who is the subject of that particular agenda item. I'm also joined by Eric Wessel, who is a member of the Will County Division of Transportation. The three of us have been working on this project, and if there are any questions that any of us can answer on behalf of that line item this evening, we're more than happy to do so, and we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Megan. Mike Carlson?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you to the village board for the hard work and great job you guys have been doing. And I just want to say thank you, everybody, for participating in that park, for everything, the trunk or treat, the Christmas stuff, the fest, everything. It's been phenomenal. Never seen a park like this, had so many comments. I just want to make sure everybody's aware that I really appreciate everything that everybody has a part of in there. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Next would be Eric Wessel.
No need for me to talk, I'm part of the J6.
Okay. Jeremy Bankston?
How's it going? Fun, eventful night. I just wanted to say, I didn't know if there'll be time to talk later in the workshop. Listed K at the end there. I was hoping just for some clarification. As you can see, even amongst yourselves, there seems to be some misinformation. And, I don't have any anger towards any of it. I can see how it spirals out of control pretty quickly when some of the things aren't clearly stated in a public forum for everybody to hear and everybody to see, and not a conversation that's outside a room like this where the people that pay the taxes, that fund the projects for the communities they live in, are being discussed. So I just was hoping during, the workshop here that the subjects could be touched upon as to what the levy covers why the levy would be any different than the historical costs to maintain the roads and the public works that have existed in this community prior to the village having a public works department. You know, more specifically, why is it going to cost the village more money than it cost the township, or is it even going to cost the village any more money, or is it just a matter of who's paying the bill, and some board members or some community members are misinterpreting that and, you know, determining this to be a major issue that needs to be funded when it was already being funded under a different line item, or have the costs increased significantly? And, you know, I believe, Rose, or you mentioned that you're exploring every option. And I just want to point out that one of the easiest options, obviously, for anybody to cover the costs of something would be to eliminate the costs rather than to look forward to spending more money and having bigger projects. You know, one of the things that could be focused on is not expanding, you know, and I know that she clarified the parks, you know, the lawn maintenance only being $40,000, and that's the kind of helpful information I think that helps put things into perspective for people, so misinformation doesn't happen and people don't believe numbers like $5 million are what we're trying to cover here. So I'm hoping during the workshop that, you know, the people with the information more specifically state as to what we're covering, if it's permanent, if it's temporary, because it sounds like there's some of the misinformation there. There was a vote, everybody approved to cover the costs, the past levy, and now it sounds like it's a permanent thing where some people believed it was temporary, but I don't know how something could be temporary. You know, I don't think we've increased the roads, and you mentioned all the things that got more expensive in the world this year. Well, the cost of running things gets more expensive, and unfortunately, if you want to live in a nice community with high property values, it comes with high property taxes. So, you know, rather than perhaps, as was said, you know, in some informal meeting where they started, some of the conversations were taxing possibly, you know, local businesses, maybe simply, you know, I know elected officials don't want to do it, but if you want to take on projects and parks and public works, it comes with taxes, and people that live in a community have to pay those taxes, not, as whoever said, or Ruben or somebody, successful businesses. You know, that's how things are funded. If people want, you know.
You have 30 seconds.
So I just hope that when we get to this section of K, that some of those things are discussed specifically and addressed out loud as to, is this a permanent levy? Is it not a permanent levy? What are we covering? Have the costs increased, or have they stayed the same and we're just moving them to the village rather than the township? So.
Thanks, Jeremy. Next would be Susie O'Connor.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. You know, the last meeting when I attended here, I had something that I thought was kind of disturbing when I kind of said about speaking with kindness and being respectful to each other and the people that sit on this board that have been elected by us community members. And in regards to Attorney Horvath, I think what you said in order to try to embarrass the interim village manager in regards to wording on a bill was not very polite. You're an invited guest here, and you're a paid invited guest. We're people that live here in our town, and to try to make him feel less that maybe he worded something wrong or didn't do something perfectly right, to kind of embarrass him in a public format, I think is in really poor taste. You're a highly educated man, I know you know better. And you already see how some of the current trustees already point fingers and put a lot of blame on each other. Why don't we all just speak to each other in kindness? It is a holiday, correct? And I think that's respectful enough, we can all act like that. In regards to, that I did see on social media about having a parade for the holidays, and in regards to Madam Clerk, and with Trustee Reiner's trying to kind of put her down. In my community where I live, and the friends that I have in this town, a lot of us did speak together. They wanted it for their children. Some of their children are smaller than my children. And unfortunately last year I wasn't able to attend because of my job. I wasn't even able to attend Homer for the Holidays because of my job, so I missed it. And I thought it was nice. I don't think it was put into bad spirit or to badmouth anyone. I see what some of you guys write online and make comments and make funny memes and stuff like that. I don't think that's very nice. And again, to try to embarrass the village clerk, I don't think is, again, not very nice. So in regards to those two people, just treat each other kind of nicely. Along goes with the mayor. He's only here for another year and a half, so just speak kindly to each other. You're up here to do a job, just like the one gentleman said before. You guys all have your projects to do, and just stick to the projects and quit trying to talk so bad to each other. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. Next one would be Bob Heel.
Hi, I'd like to address the possible consideration of the taxation, the head tax on the Bankston and County Farms. No good deed goes unpunished. There are two gems of Homer Glen, and I can only speak to Cono personally. I did attend an event, a free event honoring veterans. And then on October 23rd, Cono went blue and they honored first responders, police officers, active, retired, and fallen. They raised money for several organizations. They raised almost $10,000 for organizations that take care of fallen, severely injured police officers and their families. It's close to my heart. I'm a retired Chicago copper. My son's a police officer, and I was a husband of a state trooper that was killed in the line of duty. So, you know, it's personal. They went on their way to honor the police. They allowed them, police officers in for free. Families had a great time. They had the pipers twice, two different piper bands, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, which police families don't really get a chance to hear unless it's a in line of duty funeral. So it was a wonderful event. So you might want to consider, I mean, I know you need taxes, and maybe spreading it out a little bit and not just focusing on these two gems. There's a lot of businesses here, you know, a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there. I don't know, we moved here, we escaped Cook County, and I thought things would be different, but it looks like, you know, some of these taxing bodies, they just want to get their piece. So those that are in favor, please be loud and proud so we can remember on Election Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, that's it for public comment. The next thing we have is a consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. Is there a motion to approve the following items? 1, the accounts payable for the period of November 12th, 2021 through December 9th, 2021 in the amount of $656,379.08. 2, payment of the Village of Homer Glen's October legal bills from Mahoney, Silverman and Cross LLC in the amount of $4,436.25, and bless you. 3, payment of the Village of Homer Glen's October legal bills from legislative attorney firm Odelson, Stirk, Murphy, Frazier, and McGrath in the amount of $4,671.25. Number 4, the 2022 meeting schedule calendar for the Village Board, Plan Commission, Committees, and Emergency Management Agency. And number 5, the treasurer's report of cash and investments for the period ending October 31st, 2021. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to ask one question when it comes to Local 150. I don't exactly remember where we gave the direction and which lawyer to handle the proceedings and moving forward with Local 150, but Eric, that bill came from you, so I'm just curious where we're at with that as far as who we're going to be using to move forward with those expenditures.
I don't believe that the village board made a decision. I think there have been issues that have come up and that I discussed with Matt. I think that's what's on the bill. In terms of negotiations, there wasn't anything.
Okay, well then we'll have to bring that up in discussion. Not that the expense was that expensive, I just wanted some direction as to who we're going to be moving forward with that. I believe we had executive session comments were made, and I believe I thought we had some direction, but if we haven't, we'll have to get that straightened out. But before any more expenditures are spent on that, I'd like us to come up with a resolution as to who's going to be handling that before we spend any more money on that item.
Okay. The discussion on this...
Wait, can we have a motion before we have any more discussion?
Please.
Go ahead.
Somebody make the motion.
Make up...
Sorry, John.
Here, we're really not supposed to report on this. The whole idea of the consent agenda is everyone reads it before they come here. If they have a question, they call the person that is addressing this, so they get it put out before you come to a village board meeting to find out why someone did something. So as of today, this will be the last time I ask if there's any discussion. There won't be any discussion because that's what the consent agenda was all about. And if you have a question, you ask them before a meeting. So we just have to call the roll right now.
Do we have, who made the motion?
Sorry, Trustee Consolino and Trustee Laha, correct?
Thank
you. I didn't hear you guys.
Yeah, but I'd like to ask a question really quick.
No.
Me?
I just got done saying there's nothing else that's
I
going
was
to be
going to
done
ask
on it.
legal counsel for verification on that. That's all.
If you have an issue with respect to any item on the consent agenda, you should just, any one trustee can move to have it removed from the consent agenda and then placed on the regular legislation and action item portion of the agenda. But with respect to discussion, that's the appropriate place to discuss
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
After you remove it though, correct?
Yes.
But see, this was just a portion of the bill, so you'd have to remove the whole bill, or the whole bill from the consent agenda to be able to ask a question about one little item within that?
Probably the better way to do it.
Okay. All right, thank you for that clarification, Kerry.
Would you like me to, want me to call the roll?
Please call the roll.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
And Trustee Pazmino?
Aye. Motion carries. Next is legislation and action items. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Melissa King as Director of Planning and Zoning?
So moved.
Second.
Well, there was, like a song, was so moved. So who is first and who is second?
Jen and Nikki.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir, I have something to say. For the 2 years that I have worked with Mrs. King, she has shown nothing but hard work and dedication for our village, as well as an understanding of the delicate balance of community and nature. I welcome Melissa into her new position, and I am confident that she will help us excel and become an even more model community. Thank you.
Congratulations, Melissa.
And I would also like to say, Melissa, thank you very much for being part of it. Thank you for putting in your resume to be interviewed and to get the position in the long run. I have gotten to know you over the course of the past 6 months, and you are unbelievably great to work with. You answer all of our questions without bias. And you know what? You had some tough competition you were up against. But it was unanimous in the vote. I don't know if you heard that yet, but congratulations.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, next.
I need to take a vote.
All right.
Let's get that part.
Call the roll.
Trustee Vasmino.
Aye.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
And Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right.
Next would be appointment of Mike Carlson, Mark Gorin, and John Walters to the Homer Community Festival Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Jennifer, Rose. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to make a comment, if I could. Mike Carlson, Mark Gowron, and John Walters have been to many meetings, and their participation and their input to making things better for the community is priceless. So having them along on the Fest Committee, I am very proud to have all three of them, and thank you very much to the board for their consideration.
Okay. I need a motion for accepting the three for the Homer Community Festival.
We made the motion. Trustee Consolino made the motion, and Trustee Reinders seconded it.
Okay, they got it on here twice.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So any other discussion on it? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
And Trustee Pasmino.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve the appointment of Karina Cirillo to the Environmental Committee?
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir. I would like to recommend Ms. Cirillo for appointment onto the Environment Committee. Ms. Cirillo has a bachelor's in human dimensions of natural resources, has studied environmental governance, environmental conflict management, cultural and political ecology, leadership in conservation action, and social aspects of natural resources. Not to mention geospatial, I can't even pronounce it, geospatial applications in natural resources. I hope the board approves this appointment, as Ms. Cirillo is a breath of fresh air for the group and a fountain of knowledge for our committee. Thank you.
I think she'll be a great asset to the Environment Committee.
Okay, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Pasmino.
Aye.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 21-049, an ordinance approving a variance to increase to a maximum permitted height of the fence located on the corner side yard from 4 feet to 6 feet, and 2, a variance to permit a solid fence in a corner side yard where fences are required to be 50% open in design for certain real property located in the R2 Single Family Residential District at 14717 South Hawthorne Court in Homer, Glen, Illinois, case number HG 2127V. I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
I'd like to just make sure with Joe, maybe you've been out there, right? Can you just make sure, the question I have is traffic in making turns there in the setback. It looks like everything should be okay. I just want to make sure that you're on board with it won't impair the vision or the ability to make a turn at that intersection.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been looked at through the process of the plan commission process.
It is, and actually on the screen, right here, you can see what the code requires, Dan.
I saw that.
It requires 25 feet back from where pavement intersects. Yeah, that's that triangle at the corner.
I saw that, but with this one, I hadn't been out to the property where usually I make the time to be out there. I haven't been out to this one, so I just was looking for boots on the ground for somebody that's been out there that could verify that the traffic issue isn't a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be any issues.
Okay, thank you.
It also looks like the neighbors are kind of pushing for that fence.
And the planning commission also voted 4-0 to adopt it, so.
Melissa, do you have anything to add about this?
No, the neighbor is supportive of this.
Okay.
Right.
I went out there and saw it.
Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 21-050, a request for one, of sign variance to increase the allowable copy area for a permanent canopy sign to 75 square feet. Two, a sign variance to allow the canopy sign to be constructed as a cloud sign for certain real property located on the C1 neighborhood commercial zoning district at 15301 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, case number HG 2125V.
So move. Second.
This,
Give it to Jennifer.
well, you were before, so Pazmino and Fialko. Discussion.
I think the sign looks pretty nice. The library has one similar to it, and it gives it kind of a different, I don't know, pizzazz off of Bell Road. I've always liked signs on canopies, especially like that. You know, it's a go for me.
I like the way it looks. The planning commission also voted on this 5-0 to adopt. But, you know, I always wondered why there wasn't a sign similar to that on the megaplex.
On the building.
And we're 100% pro-business. Whatever you can do to promote your business or to let everybody know that you're there. I wish the megaplex a ton of success, and I hope you're with us a long, long time. And if that sign helps us to be successful, then that's what we need.
Okay. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 21-051, a request for site plan approval with the following variances? One, a variance to reduce the number of parking spaces from the required 57 spaces to 50 spaces. Two, a variance to reduce the parking lot setback from the required 5 feet to 2.5 feet along the east property line and 4 feet along the north property line. A variance to reduce the minimum landscape yard front from 30 feet to 15 feet. A variance to increase the allowable impervious lots coverage from the maximum 75% to 78%. A variance to increase the maximum number of tenant panels on a multi-tenant monument sign from 6 to 8, and 6, a variance to reduce the front yard for the required 45 feet to 36 feet for certain real property located at the C3 General Business Zoning District at 14201 through 14215 South Bell Road, 14225 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, case number HG 2124 SPV, subject to the following conditions. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. The applicant consolidates the 2 lots through a minor consolidation process, an administrative process with the village, and files it consolidated with the Will County prior to the issuance of the building permit. 2, submit a sign permit application for separate review. And 3, meet all final engineering and building code requirements. I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
And Pazmino. Discussion.
Mayor, I have a question. I know that the property actually, the parking lot next to the bank is actually higher than the parking lot that is currently going to be demolished. How are they going, well, how is that going to work, Melissa? I mean, it seems like it's significantly higher.
I think they are planning to balance the site across. So
To bring it down?
it will all cross flow
Okay.
from one side to the other. Eric can address that if he's going to.
Yeah.
He's the engineer, from the engineers of the county. But they did explain this. It was a question of the planning commission as well, because they were concerned about that.
Yeah.
The proposed grading plan does show, which is in the packet, it does show cross flow, just sheet flow across the
Okay. Yeah, that was my only concern, because it is, you know, when you drive past it every day, you see that property is so much higher than the other property.
Yeah.
So how are they going to blend those two together?
Melissa, did you have any input on this?
Well, that's what the green plan does show that.
Okay.
It shows just cross slope across the parking lot.
Okay.
So it's not going to be a completely flat parking lot,
Mhm.
but it does meet, you know, village codes.
Okay.
Good evening, my name's Eric Wessel. I'm the project manager for this with the Will County Division of Transportation. We've been working with the property owner of the strip mall area, and the site will be graded out. There will be quite a bit of soil that will have to be hauled off-site to make sure that it's level with the site, that the south side is level with the site to the north.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Pazmino?
Yes.
Trustee Laha?
Yes.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 7, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 21-052, an ordinance amending ordinance 21-047 entitled an ordinance granting an amendment to the plan unit development PUD granted previously under ordinance 14-049, amended under ordinance number 16-011 and number 19-019 in the A1 Agricultural District, commonly known as 16849 South Cedar Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, HG 2122S, Walter Kono. I need a motion.
So moved.
Rose,
Second.
Jen. Discussion.
Do we have anybody from the fire? Dave Bricker, are you still here?
Yeah, he's here.
Hello.
Dave. Hi, Dave.
Hi.
Thank you for coming up.
No problem.
When we're talking, just so the public understands, and so I clearly understand also, the NFPA, they've got code 13 and code 72 in here. Would you be able to briefly describe 13 and 72 so the public is aware of what that means?
So NFPA 13 is a reference. The village adopts a code, a model code, and then some amendments. And in there, it just says, okay, certain buildings have to be sprinkled, and then it refers to NFPA 13. So what 13 does is just tell them how to design it. 72 is the same thing, but with fire alarm systems. The village code says a certain building has to have a fire alarm. It refers to NFPA 72 as to how they install that fire alarm.
And with 72, does 72 also then require an annual inspection of any kind? Is there any annual inspection tied to that, or is that just part of the village code only?
Both, so NFPA 25 actually addresses testing for suppression systems. 72 also has a annual testing requirement for fire alarms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Anytime.
I'm Walt Kono. I'm the one what this is all about, and I think this is going to end up being a moot point because I am not going through with the building. I can't justify the requirements that for the building that I plan to put up. I just can't do it. It's not financially feasible, and I'm just going to stay with doing business there the way with the tent for the weddings, and nothing is going to change. The building is, the plans have been, I'm done with the plans. I just can't do it. What the village requires, I just can't do it. So I don't know if this needs to be voted on or kind of a moot point now.
Well, do you have any other discussion from the board?
Mr. Kono, how did we get here? I mean, how did this end up on our desk? I
have absolutely no idea because certain board members have
spoke to you, and it's different from other businesses.
Well, there are a lot of businesses around Homer Glen that do not have sprinklers on Anico Drive. Tuffy's, where Tuffy's repaired, they don't have sprinklers in that strip.
I am not familiar with that.
159th and Bell Road. And several
Dave,
others.
would you have an answer as to why that would be, or if that's factual?
Yeah, no, there are definitely still buildings. There's a lot of buildings that were built before we had our codes that we currently have. So those buildings were built prior to the sprinkler requirements. So we do have buildings in town that don't have sprinklers.
Which we call legal non-conforming?
Correct, yeah, I mean, they've been around, they're existing, so, yeah, Joe and I have gone through many of those buildings, we inspect them every year, but yeah, they're not sprinkled.
But if they were to put an addition on, or they were to change that building completely or add something on, they would then be under the same
So, yeah, if they change the use, or if they...
requirement
add an
as
addition
this.
or whatever, yeah, then Joe and I meet with the developers ahead of time, explain to them everything they gotta do, yes. So, it depends on the type of use and stuff like that, so, yeah.
So I have a question. Will Mr. Cornell be able to, will he still be required to sprinkler the Chelsea barn then?
No, no. If he keeps the PUD and if he goes back to just operating the tent like he's done, no, not from us, sir. I don't think, yeah, Joe would, yeah.
Well,
it's the existing use that he's been using for years and
he may say that he's not going to do it, but if we approve this PUD, he would then have to do the Tinsley barn?
So if he's still going to build a building. If he doesn't build the building, he doesn't have to do anything.
No, but it combines both. It combines the Tinsley barn and then the,
But it was based on him building that building.
The only thing that was triggered the Tilly barn being required to be sprinkled would be the additional building.
okay. All right, thank you.
So are we voting on this or not?
Well, you've got a discussion.
You can
so
withdraw
Madam
your
Clerk.
motion, or you can withdraw your motion. He's not doing the building, so there's really nothing to vote on.
Right.
Well, the other way to look at it, though, is if he changes his mind and something popped up that he was able to then put up the barn, we would then have this as the ordinance to follow, instead of having to go through it again. So there's two ways to look at it. I mean, it'll be there for you if you need it, and if not, then you just won't build there. But
we can't leave this open.
No, right.
I think it's got to be voted on.
Madam Clerk,
I say we vote on it.
Trustee Laha?
Just one clarification, that we are voting on what is as is right here, not the new information he just presented us with. That he's not going to do it.
Yes, you're voting on what's presented under this motion.
Okay. Yes.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Motion carries.
What does that mean?
Means you're keeping it just the way it is.
You're just keeping it the way it is. Yes.
Great, thank you.
Well, you're keeping it the way it is,
But in the
event that you decide to build, this is the way it would have to be done.
Well, as soon as Homer Glen brings me sewer and water, then I'll be happy to put the sprinklers in. So I can come up with an extra $3 million, that'd be great.
Thank you, Walt.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve a reimbursement grant award under the commercial, wait, what did I do?
J8, right?
Yep.
J8.
Oh, that's right, one more of these. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 21-053, an ordinance granting a variance to permit LP siding on the first floor of a dwelling in lieu of the exterior construction standards required with that stone and brick material cover 100% of the aggregate total area of all first floor two-story exterior walls, exclusive of doors, windows, and associated trim. 75-67A, applicability and scope, type of building or structure of Chapter 75 buildings of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen for certain real property located at the R1 Single Family Residential District at 13615 South Maple Avenue, Homer Glen, Illinois. Now I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Oh, and it was Nikki, that was you? Or Jen?
It's Nikki.
Nikki. Discussion.
The representative here? Yes, sir.
Yes, hi. My name is Mike Bruno. I'm the owner of the property. And my wife and I are building our last home. And it's going to be a ranch. Unfortunately, I guess I didn't do my due diligence because I looked around and I didn't see any other brick houses around it. So when we designed this house, we designed it with the wooded area. It's a 2-acre lot with lots of trees. And we designed it with stonework, rustic beams in front of the house to fit in with the area. So that's why my wife and I are asking for the variance, and we ask that you give us some help. Thank you very much.
Joe, is this the one, we had one similar to this not too long ago.
Correct.
Is this the
not
one
the
that you
same.
helped them with then?
This is
You were going
separate.
to help
This is
that
different.
resident?
Totally different.
Totally different.
Completely different.
Right, okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same.
It may have been our neighbor who was bought the lot next to us is building.
There's been several in that area.
Yes.
The main difference with this one is, though, that he already has this stone in these drawings where the person who came before didn't have any of that. We recommended it to her.
Right.
It looks beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Very, very nice. Now, is this the siding, is that wood or is that
It's an engineered wood product.
engineered wood, like, kind of like a, yeah, hardy board?
Yeah,
Yeah.
similar to that product.
And at this point, the way it's designed, that percentage of brick is what to the siding for the first floor?
Oh, I've never figured it out, but I'm going to say about 25%, maybe.
Joe, just so we're not creating anything here that would, would this be acceptable as a change even with the other one, with it only being 20%? Or would you be requiring a little bit more than that to accept to even consider the variance?
We have no specific percentage of building material requirement being stone or siding. Any of these types of materials, we use building codes so that the quality of the materials does have to meet certain building code standards. But there is no specific percentage requirement for brick or stone.
On the first floor?
Well, currently it's 100%.
Right.
This is why we're here with the variance.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. The other one, they just wanted to go with only the siding, and we were going to work with them to make it right. And so what I'm asking you, Joe, is that other house was very similar to this, and that's why it was a little confusing. Would this be acceptable? Would this be something you would have worked out with the homeowner to then make the other one kind of fit the criteria and make it better and more acceptable to the surrounding homes?
Trustee Fialko, I think,
It's good in the character of the neighborhood and it doesn't lessen any of the other surrounding homes in that area.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions or discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
And Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations and good luck with your forever home.
Okay, now is there a motion to approve a reimbursement grant award under the Commercial Building Improvement Grant Program to Homer Partners for an eligible improvements at 13161 West 143rd Street in the amount of $9,968.
So move.
Rose?
Second.
Okay, discussion. No discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Cancelino.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 10, is there a motion to approve a reimbursement grant award under the Commercial Building Improvement Grant Program to WC Investments LLC for the eligible improvements at 15250 West 143rd Street in the amount of $10,000 even?
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
If anybody knows that building down there, compared to what it was looking like for so many years and the inability to keep tenants in that building, this is just a great improvement to that area. And I hope you're successful, if you're here, with getting tenants that will stay with you for a long time. And hopefully this grant money has helped you do that.
Hi, I'm Chris Fisher. Thank you very much for you guys' help, and the village has been great through the whole renovation process so far. We actually brought in Fidelity National Title, which is a Fortune 500 company who's going to go in there, and Crosstown Realtors, the company I own.
It's great.
What I'd like to say again, that I always say, is the businesses in Homer, Glen, are the foundation of the community we all call home. And if we can help out, if it fits the criteria, we want to be there for you. And I'm glad this grant money was available for you to improve that area. It looks very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next one. Is there a motion to approve a reimbursement grant under the Commercial Building Improvement Grant Program to A Touch of Green, Inc. for eligible improvements at 12720 West 159th Street in the amount of $10,000 even?
So move.
Second.
Rose and Dan. Discussion.
The only discussion that I'd like to have is the balance for the grant money as opposed to the amount that's been used. If we could somehow, maybe it's out there and I haven't seen it, but I don't know where we're at with the grant money.
It's been reported in the staff memo, the two prior to this evening's 3 applications, but pending the final approval of the last grant, there will be a balance of $682 left of the $40,000 budget. We will be close and not able to accept further applications until we have a new budget year with funding for the program.
All right, thank you so much, Jeannie.
And so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 businesses that we've, is that right?
It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5, perfect, thank you.
Any other discussion?
I would just like to thank Janie for all the hard work she's put into this program. It's really been beneficial to the businesses in the community. And I think next year, Mayor, you might have to up the budget a little bit.
We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, it's a very good year. Okay, no other discussion. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve the purchase of a John Deere 1600 mower for the Parks and Recreation Department in the amount of $63,209.23?
So move.
Rose,
Second.
Jen, discussion.
Mayor, I'd like to have John Robinson come up and talk a little bit about this. He's been very diligent in trying to get information to help us save money on this agenda item.
And he has some good news.
Yes.
Yep, you, John, it's all yours.
So we went through this at the last meeting with the Toro mower, and we went through this whole chain of events with Toro, with the state bid and everything else. And the problem we ran into is in the beginning of November, Toro at a corporate level made a decision to cut back on their commercial product line. The mower that we had approved to purchase was one of the devices that got cut back, and they were no longer making. So back to the drawing board. So there's only 3 companies that make these large frame mowers. John Deere was our second choice. We talked to the sales rep from John Deere Shorewood, and he sent us a quote. It's $400 cheaper than Toro unit. It's similar. It's not exactly what we were looking for. It's similar, so it is under a purchasing program. It's under the Sourcewell purchasing, which saves us some money from the retail price, and that's kind of where we are. I mean, and that's what brings us back. We were going to. I know at the last meeting there was discussion because we didn't go to A&F. We tried to go to A&F. A&F got canceled. So here we are back to the board to try to get this done. As you guys all know, the board voted to take take over the township parks. This piece of equipment, a vehicle, and other things were listed that we were going to need to maintain the township parks. And so here we are. So back we are.
So John, can I ask you this? Would it be possible for you to do a little bit more research to see if we can find something that's used, you know, with a minimal amount of hours on it
Well, you
before we...
ask and you shall receive.
Ask and you
John.
shall receive. I already did that. We kind of did some research. Part of the problem that we ran into is as they're having in the automotive industry now, people are holding on to their vehicles, so to find newer equipment is difficult. We did find 2 mowers in the Toro brand that were of the same style of the mower that we had originally looked at. Toro. The reason we were doing that was because we have a Toro mower, and we were thinking that same oil filter, same blade size, same parts. So if we wouldn't have to stock all kinds of different parts for different equipment. I did that again. So we already had looked at 2 Toro. We didn't look at them because they're in Florida. But these are the only 2 that I found, searching on the internet and searching on eBay and searching all over the place. I did find 2 that are 2014 mowers. They're low hours for 2014. They're both around 2,000 hours. One of them is 42,500. And one of them is 48,500. So those were the 2 Toro units that we found. I was unable to find a John Deere comparable with the same series that we were looking at. They have an older series, which is the one that we had gotten a quote on was a model 1600 Turbo 3. The Turbo 2 is the older version. It has different emissions. It doesn't meet the current, not that it would matter, right? But it doesn't meet the current emissions. That's why they had to change to a new model to meet the current emissions. Not all that terrible long ago, mowers were all exempt from all the terrible emission standards that the trucks and everything have to go through.
That is a diesel mower, correct, John?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so now they all have to meet the same emissions control that trucks and everything else has to meet. So, and that's probably a lot of the other costs too, because now, you know, your mower has computers on it and everything else to manage the emissions control. So we did find 2 that were the older model. One of them is in Canada, which is a 2017 model. It has a lot of hours on it. And the other one is another 2017 model. It doesn't look that it was taken as well care of as the other one is. The problem with used equipment, now I can't say that that's, you know, it's a fact, but the problem that we've run into, like with emergency management, trying to find used vehicles, you know, to replace older vehicles, is that you find something and somebody else finds it too, and because we have to go through the board process, especially because you guys won't give me the authority to spend $48,000 without your permission. So and there's a process involved, so sometimes it takes time, right? So sometimes we would miss out, and that's the difficulty in buying used equipment sometimes. But if you guys, like I said, this is the stuff I was able to find, and I did Google searches for this equipment. If you guys want to discuss this more, or you guys want to give us a whatever direction, we'll be more than happy to do whatever you guys decide to do.
John, are you aware of a website called tractorhouse.com?
Called what?
Tractorhouse.com?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Okay, have you been on their site recently?
Yep.
Have you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact...
Have you worked with them before, John?
No, but this one here, the one from Canada, was actually on tractorhouse.com.
Okay, that's probably...
So I did find that on that one. The other one, the other John Deere mower that I found was on needturfequipment.com. And then the 2 Toro mowers that I found were on eBay. So Like I said, we will do whatever the board decides, because that's how this whole thing is done. So the only concern that I have is that, May 1st, right, is coming around the corner, and we right now we're like, well, it's December, and we're going to blink our eye, it's going to be January, and we're going to have, parks to maintain, and I wouldn't want, to not be able to do that for you.
Hey, John, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Really quick. Are we saying we have cheaper alternatives and you're giving us options to go down that road?
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do. That's what we do. Whatever you guys want to do.
But like John said, though, you're looking at, it needs to be done now. We've got the parks.
Right.
So we either have to decide whether we're gonna buy something, or we can wait till next year. But like John said before, it's going to take a lot more time to try to get this stuff cut. It's going to take a lot more people to do it, because you don't have the lawnmowers that are big enough to be able to make a big sweep on it. So your options are either we buy something now, or we let the residents rip us new ones because we're not doing what we're supposed to.
That's going to happen either way, But what I'm trying to say is also, I'm thinking here, we're buying this, we want to buy this new mower. Do we actually know for a fact that we need it right now? Or is this something we can wait on?
Well, what's your definition of wait? Because we need it for, like with the truck, we had to order the truck at a November cutoff to get it for the summer.
No, I mean, I'm fully supporting what you're saying and the things that you've brought. I mean, I am a parks chair, and I proudly voted to take on those parks, and I have no problem admitting that. Right now, I'm just trying to be a little bit cautious on how much we're spending at this time.
Dan and Ruben, when is our next A&F meeting for January? Do you know?
That would be first.
The first of the month.
Yeah.
First of the week.
Yeah.
John, is it something you could revisit with them? Sure. And maybe even look a little bit more?
Absolutely.
Does that sound like no?
Well, that's January.
That's January. Well, the difference.
It's almost
right.
like
the
less
difference
than 4
with used
weeks from now.
equipment. The difference with used equipment is the stuff that may be available today might not be available then.
Right.
And it may be different stuff available then, right?
Exactly,
So
that's
we
what I
don't
was
know.
thinking that.
So it's just that, like I said, my concern is that we have whatever we're gonna do, we have the equipment in place for May 1st. Okay, I was asked if we could wait a year and not do this. And the problem is we will start from day one and we will be behind and never catch up.
Yeah.
And the other problem, it's not just, cutting grass isn't the only thing we do, right? And right now I've got a garage full of parts to repair things at parks that have been damaged and things that have been damaged at the active core that we're going to be out in the wintertime fixing because we had no time during the summer because that's all we did was cut grass. So
I fully support what you're saying and understand it all, yeah.
Okay.
I do also, but John, you know what, maybe you can refresh my memory with the not public work, with the Public Works Department, and when we got the road district from the township, that list had many items on it. How many, and I can't remember, but how many lawnmowers were on that list that we got from the township back then?
There was two. There was one John Deere mower, a small zero-turn mower that we've been using, and there was an older Yazoo mower that is junk.
Okay.
That they weren't even using. They still had it, but they weren't using it.
And so my question would be, if we held off on this for a little while, and with the lawnmowers that you do have and the people that you have, would you still be able to get the grass cut? Maybe it would take a little bit longer, but this is $60-some thousand for a lawnmower, right? Mm-hmm. We have a levy that we have to come up with, and if I was sitting at home, I'd say you're spending $60-some thousand on a lawnmower, and now you're raising my taxes. So understand where we're coming from.
Sure.
We have not taken and allowed that department to have 1 year full cycle to see what we actually need. Now, you can predict what you need, but we don't really know.
Which department are you talking about?
I'm talking about parks.
We've had the parks maintenance since
right, but you're saying on May 1st, we're going to take over these other parks. So you're going to have additional things to do. I get that. But we haven't let it operate itself one full cycle. You can estimate and you can kind of think what it may cost, but Let me ask you this. If we were not to approve this lawnmower right away and we start thinking maybe some other ideas and you kind of let the grass, let that whole thing take a cycle, at least 6 months to see where you're at. I know you said you'll start behind, but at the same time, this is $60-some thousand for a lawnmower. And I understand it's bigger, it can cut grass faster, but you only have so many people to work with and so many lawnmowers.
Right.
Okay.
So thinking on those terms and not having run a full cycle with the new parks that we will be taking in, I'm guessing that we could hold off a little bit and see where we land when it comes to the levy that's going to be discussed tonight, and some other things that we have to take care of.
Well, and that's fine. Like I said, we serve the board, right?
What I want to make sure is that you won't, if you absolutely cannot cut the grass because of what you have now staff-wise in lawnmowers, then I'd like you to say that. But if you can work around it for a little while till we get our feet on the ground and we see where we're at, I would like you to let me know one way or the other.
Well,
my turn.
We're going from approximately 130 acres to just under 200 acres, so we're picking up 70 more acres of grass. To cut 70 more acres of grass with the equipment and the staff that we currently have, we will, as soon as the grass starts growing, we will be behind and we will never catch up. I mean, if we get 2 months or 3 months of drought where the grass isn't growing, then we'll catch right up.
And so that would be with the full staff running all the lawnmowers. So how is a new lawnmower going to change that?
Well, because
you don't have an additional staff person.
Well, in the proposal that was put through on the supplement sheet for taking over the township parks, we had said that we needed the additional vehicle. We talked about using an existing trailer that we have. We were talking about another mower, and we were talking about another staff position. So these were all things that were listed on that supplement sheet, so this was all there. So, I mean, we will do, like I said, we will do what we are told to do, and if you guys want us to hold off, we'll hold off. If you guys want us to look at any more used equipment, we will do that. That's not a problem. I just don't want you guys to misunderstand that, we're trying to do the best job we can do for you guys, right?
Understood.
So if you guys want us to start off and see where we're at, we'll be more than happy to do that.
Wait.
What I want to call a reminder too, though, is that Brent Portfolio said that he would be able to help us out should we get behind at all. He has offered those services to keep us. So I almost think with Brent's help and what we have right now, instead of spending almost $70,000 on a lawnmower right now, we could kind of just take a step back. Not that we wouldn't get it in the future, but that we could step back and take a look at where we're at in 6 months.
Right.
In the meantime, Brent can help us out. You can maybe, have you looked into the possibility of renting one of those lawnmowers to see if it kind of fits your needs?
Honestly, I haven't, because I don't know. I know I haven't. I can't say because I haven't.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Maybe that would be something to look at. I don't know. I wouldn't know how expensive it would be.
Yeah, so a resident at the last meeting had said, well, why don't you guys look into leasing equipment? And I don't know of anybody that leases. I mean, we'd have to go through like a third-party leasing company or something for something like that. But I don't know of anybody that rents that equipment, but I'll be more than happy to do that research.
All right, John, I got a question for you real quick. First of all, you were behind on help last year.
Yes.
You didn't get all the people that you were looking for. So now with us taking on the rest
Well, we
of
weren't the only ones in the world that had that issue.
No. I understand, but I'm not worried about everyone else. I'm worried about here.
Right.
So with not being able to have the people come in to work on top of it, and then we took in the 6 other parks, and this whole board voted on it. So we understand what you're trying to say to us.
And that's all I want. I just want everybody to understand. That's all.
And I want the board to understand too that he has looked, he's gotten prices on used ones. Some of them, I'm kind of with him on used things, but new things break reels too. So it doesn't really make a difference there. But we are going to fall behind, and if you're asking about, and I know Brent said he would give us a hand with the mowing if it got busy. He's got 2. They're not big ones. So I understand what you're asking them, and I agree, but here, you don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with Road District either, because this is going to be our first year. But this isn't his first year. This is his, I don't know, how many years is it now that you've been
We started this in 2016.
Yeah, right after we got in.
5 years.
All right, so he's telling you right now that he knows he's going to get behind before we even start the year. So if we're going to do something, either pick up a used one, get something that we can help him with, and make it a lot easier for everyone in the village. If we just keep pushing the can down the road, he's not going to be able to find anything, or if he does, who knows what it's going to be. But in the meantime, all the parks are getting out of hand.
I'm willing to go to Canada to get that one, though, if you guys really want.
Road trip.
I'll bring my fishing pole with me, and I'll be back in about a week.
I sincerely,
I'm still thinking, taking a little breather, stepping back for 6 months and see where we're at, see where our feet land, get through this levy. I'll let Brent Portfolio help us out. I know there's the inflation thing right now, so the prices are high on a lot of things. And maybe in 6 months when things stabilize with the economy, even though a lot of things are happening, the prices may come down.
Well,
not that they always do, but it may.
It's not just a lawnmower, though, that we're talking about. What we're talking about, if he doesn't have people to do it either, at least if you had a full-scale 11-foot something that's going to cut the grass, you can get away with one guy and get it done a hell of a lot faster. But the way it is right now, he was shy 5 people last year. We don't know how many people he's going to be shy this year.
And with all due respect to Brent Portfolio, I mean, what if the union's in and they say, well, your people can't help out?
And that could be part of it too. I'm hoping that they understand what, all we're trying to do is keep this village as well as we possibly can.
Exactly.
For as not spending as much as we can. So I think you got an option. And leasing, you own it basically, because if anything happens to it, you still pay to fix every single solitary thing. It's no different than anyone that ever leased a car. So leasing is not the way to go on it. If you find a used one, at least if you got the same thing that you've got right now, you know what you'd have to do to be able to fix it. If you went with I don't know, I agree. I'd have to go, I would say the Toros, I'd get down to Florida, I'd check out the 2. It doesn't, you don't necessarily look for the cheapest because it's the cheapest because it could also be the worst one. But let's get some information on the thing. Make a few phone calls now, talk to the people that have them, and let's see what we can do. Because if you can get it for 43, like you said, you have one for 43 and the other one was 48.
Well, yeah, and then I mean...
And I know you're going to have to spend some money to be able to get the thing back here.
Right, you're going to have to ship them up here. I don't think, it would be, if we're worried about, I don't think it'd be worth sending somebody down there to go get it and drive back. I think that would be cost prohibitive. I think
it might cost you $1,000.
You'd almost be better off paying a trucker. If anybody knows anybody that lives in Fort Myers, we can have them go take a look.
But he's not going to come up here to bring anything here.
No, I meant just,
recommend we table this? Is that what you're saying? No.
No, I think that we should find out what the cost is that we can get. We might even be able to get it cheaper than what it is. And John, all we have to do is call a logistical company, and they'll give you a price of what it would cost us.
Yeah, I know.
So I would say, this is just my own opinion, get the piece. We've got 6 more that we decided to take on. We had an option to be able to turn them down and say, no, we don't want them. I know Steve said he's going to pay us until May, but then after May, that's done too. So let's get something done and not rely on anyone else. We should be relying on ourselves, just this village. So in my opinion, take it for what it's worth. But is there any other discussion?
Are we going to table it?
No, if you table it, we're just screwing them.
So this is for the brand new lawnmower. You're saying we...
No. We decide what it's going to... The brand new lawnmower is $63,209.23, which is a John Deere one. He's got 2 that are used that are both Toros.
Mr. Mayor, if the board could vote against this measure and we've received direction to
we can
explore these other
change any
options.
motion. So we can switch.
We didn't post the cost of, we haven't even decided. John just rattled off those numbers, so I would recommend, I think the board already said that we can bring back to January to explore these used options. You can treat this motion how you desire.
I think that's good.
I think that's something we should recommend, or I recommend doing as well, is tabling this. so
Trustee
we can-
Reinders made the motion and Trustee Consolino seconded it.
Table, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Laha?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
No.
What?
Wait.
Is this to table?
Wait, they...
Tabling it?
They motioned to change their original motion to table it, correct?
Oh.
Yes.
Correct?
Did not hear,
I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
I did not hear that either. Carrie?
Motion to table this particular item, because there was a motion and a second to approve it.
Right.
So
So we have to do that and then table it.
if you
Thank you.
vote on the motion to approve, then what Trustee Laha voted, she voted no.
I'm voting to table this, but I'm actually voting on the motion that's on the floor right now.
The motion on the floor at this point in time is the motion to approve the purchase of a John Deere
Okay.
1600 mower for the Parks and Recreation Department in the amount of $63,209.23. That's been moved and seconded, and at this point in time, that's the motion that you're voting.
I thought they just changed their motion, though.
They didn't officially do that, though.
We didn't officially.
Carrie, is there any benefit, is there a benefit to tabling this, though, if we're getting all new numbers and we're looking at this a different way, based that this has a number tied to it and a specific lawnmower? Would it benefit us, do you think, to table that or to just vote this no on this?
Well, since you've had discussion on the motion, if the movement wants to withdraw the motion at this point in time, they can make a motion to withdraw it, get a second, and then you vote on that, and then you would table this particular item. But I think since you've had a motion, you've had a discussion, to table it at this point in time doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Why don't you either vote on the motion as presented, or if the movement, who made the motion? Is that you, Trustee
Yes.
Wright? If you want to withdraw your motion, all right, or, and get a second, then vote on it, then you can, but
That would only be to table it, though.
no, then
Correct.
the motion to just, it'd be off the table completely at this point in time. We would be deferring it completely.
No, I'm saying if Rose took her motion away and the second, and then we would be taking in
Completely off of the table at this point.
Okay.
You're not tabling anything, you're just letting,
You're taking it off the plate.
you're letting John then
Okay.
go out and obtain additional information for you with respect to purchase of lawnmowers in general for the Parks and Recreation.
Okay, thank you, Carrie.
Do you want to withdraw your motion?
No.
Or do you want to vote on it?
I want to vote on it.
Okay. Motion and second, you've had discussion. Vote.
Madam Clerk? call the roll.
My vote is still no.
Oh, sorry. Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Reinders?
No.
Trustee Pazmino?
No.
So the motion fails.
Thank you for your guidance on it, Carrie.
Okay. Next, is there a motion to approve the 2022 usage guidelines for sports club using village facilities subject to attorney review?
So move.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
The last part there, subject to attorney review. Has the attorney reviewed it?
Yes.
And you see everything's okay with it according to?
It's acceptable.
The changes that were discussed?
Yes.
All right, thank you for that, Eric.
Is this basically on a year-to-year basis?
I believe so, and I think
As written, that's correct. If the board wanted to explore extending it, I know that at least the HAC expressed a willingness to do that at our meeting, but we did not put a term in the agreement.
Okay.
And we also, and the same thing with Stallions.
Correct. Yeah, we would, yes.
He wasn't at the meeting, but he phone-wise, that's what he expressed.
I had something to say. I'd like to thank Mr. Andrew Ruggiero, James White, Larry Kilmer, and other volunteers from the Homer Athletic Club, the Homer Stallions, for volunteering your continued hard work and commitment working with our youth and keeping these sports programs alive. Homer Glen families understand and appreciate all of your sacrifice, especially during the height of the pandemic. You kept everything going and even securing funding for the expenses so that the program would not become defunct. Youth sports are extremely important for our kids and have many essential functions, including and not limited to increased physical activity and health, forming social and community bonds, improving academic potential, learning how to face and overcome challenges, building a foundation for lifelong health, and just plain staying out of trouble. Thank you for everything you have done, and I think that we should all give Mr. Ruggiero and Mr. White a round of applause.
Okay.
Can I ask a question for clarification? Rosie, did you want to add it? I'm sorry, Trustee Reinders, did you want to add in there year-to-year review? I thought I heard that, no?
No, I just wanted to make sure that the clubs were, both of the organizations were fine with review every year, or did they want to take the lease for a longer term, or was it on a year-to-year basis?
Because it's not really a lease. We're not doing what Pam had done.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're letting the baseball people get out there, and if they need help from us, we will give them help. Because as far as Steve's concerned, he says 100 years. Well,
Okay.
I don't think we should do
Right,
that. But,
right.
you know, don't do it to where we have to chase them around every year, because otherwise they think that we're doing the same thing they did before.
Right, that's what I was worried about, that they were going to have to do this every single year.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know if we never really made an
The way we
agreement
did
on
it is
anything.
it'll just renew until someone says stop.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we're going to have to put a number on it, though, because
That
otherwise...
makes more sense.
No one knows anything. And normally in a situation like this, you got to figure every 8 years or every 4 years, there's a change of mayor and there's a change of trustees. So you want to, well, it's
It's a rotation.
right.
I just think it's, again, for the attorneys,
Put it
is there
down for
going to
10
be a
years.
date?
Give 10 years
Is there gonna
right
be
now, and then
something?
in 10 years, they can look it up again. And I'm sure, I agree with almost everything he said on that sheet, because I was reading something else, so I didn't pay attention the whole time.
Thanks.
But, well, I'm honest about it. I just want to make sure you know. But what they do for the village is absolutely wonderful. And they don't get paid to do this either. And it keeps our kids out of trouble, and I think that's absolutely wonderful what they do, and we're willing to be there for them.
Yes, I agree.
So if we put a 10-year on there, I think that would be fine.
You made the motion.
If everyone's in
You
agreement.
second.
So
First and
would
second.
I amend the motion?
You were going to add a term?
Oh, right.
You can do that. You can make a motion to amend, or you can make an amendment to your motion to approve the guidelines for a period of
10 years.
We figured 10 years for right now, because otherwise you're chasing these people back and
Yeah.
forth all the time.
I don't know.
And it's the same people that are doing it. If there's a change of people, then we just have to
Adjust.
figure it out.
Would it be that hard to do a 3-year term? I mean, basically, that's what comes down, a trustee has 4 years, a mayor's got 4 years at a time. And if we put 3 years at a time, that gives the flexibility for whoever would be here in another 3 years. I don't know, is 10 too long?
I think 10 is fine, maybe with a contingency for the sports teams to pull out if they want. But again,
they can do that
at any time.
They can do that at any time.
I think 10 is fine.
I think 10 is fine.
All right, so 10's a number that we're looking at. So if you can,
So I amend my motion to include a line item that shows a 10-year term.
a 10-year renewable term.
Correct. 10-year renewable term.
And I second that.
Yes. Okay, so everyone's good with that?
Yes.
We've got it to where it's moved?
He's good?
He wants to say something.
Sure.
Yeah, what's up, Andrew?
I said I hate to do it to you after you gave me that nice little speech there, and I appreciate that. HAC, I'm just speaking on behalf of HAC. We're a full volunteer board, 100% volunteer. I've been around since 1959. The only thing that I would like to make public, which a lot of people never understood when we were working with the township, is, in layman's terms, we cut our own grass at the baseball fields. We cut our own grass. We're responsible for all repair and maintenance. If the lights are on, we get the bill for it. When there's repairs done to the water system there, we get the bill for it. If the lights are on in the concession stand, we get the bill for it. The extra porta potties that are there, we're billed for it. HAC pays 100% of the cost. Taxpayers do not pay a dime towards the repair, maintenance of anything out there. We cut the grass from the time it starts growing until it stops, the chalk, the dirt, the weed and feed, the weed killer, everything, and it's all volunteer based. So I just want that to be on the record someplace, some way, shape, or form. So, and people would come out there in years past when we struggled to maintain it because we did have problems with a lot of deferred maintenance in the last 5 to 8 years. And the comment we heard all the time was, I can't believe I pay X amount of dollars in taxes and our sports parks looks like this, because they're comparing them to other communities that have park districts and whatnot that funnel money to help maintain those, which is not the case here. It's never been the case. And the club has always maintained it on their own. And it was easier in years past. It's a lot harder now. The club's about half the size as far as participants. So the registration fees and stuff like that have dwindled way down. And we offer more sports than just the baseball and softball out there. We do volleyball and basketball. We work with 33C. We use their facilities. So basically our other programs help us fund what it costs to run the park out here. So I appreciate and look forward to working with the village.
Andrew, I've got a quick question. We were we're talking about extending it from annually to 10 years. Does the 10-year, making it 10 years, does that create any hardship for you, or are you also okay with the 10 years?
Yeah, that would be great. The one thing, we unfortunately, our focus is a recreational, no-cut community program. We offer travel leagues to just support the community. We offer a travel program where the kids can actually play travel baseball, a little bit more competition, but still play with their friends and do it at cost, not an inflated cost. So we're a non-for-profit. We do stuff at about 50 to 60% less than, say, a Sparks or a Rhinos. So they have their training domes in the winter. We actually work out at the Megaplex. Both our softball and travel teams do at their own expense. And they basically pay what we can negotiate with the Megaplex. So extending it out gives us what we have. They have the domes and the sports domes and the Rhino Sparks Dome and the Bow Dome. We have the complex. We have the facility. So we can extend it 20 years, 10 years, whatever it is. It's great. It's a security blanket for the club. We know it's there for us to use it. And it kind of was always a trade-off to where, we have control of that complex from those dates in the user agreement. We maintain all the repair and maintenance. It's kind of like it's been a trade-off. So it continues to work well, and the community, we're really recreational based. So we do offer some travel sports, but it's a fraction of really what we do. It's mainly no-cut recreational sports.
Thank you for your input, and also thank you for being participating in the development of a lot of our youth and the many years that you've contributed time-wise.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to authorize the Village of Homer Glen to participate in the national opioid settlement?
So moved.
Jen? Do I have a second?
Second.
Rose, discussion.
Just for the So the public understands exactly what this is. Would you be able, Carrie, would you be able to explain it briefly as to what you've experienced and how this will end up helping the village of Homer Glen?
Yes, it would. Thank you. In June of this year, there was a settlement in the class actions involving the national opioid litigation, and the settlement was with a number of the defendants, and it involved approximately $22.3 billion total. A number of states, including the state of Illinois, participated in the litigation, and now they are coming up with attempting to come up with a formula for the distribution of the funds. It's estimated that the state of Illinois will get approximately 3.3% of the total funds that are allotted. The funds will be used for programs designed to address the use of opioids or the abuse of opioids. And what the state then will do, at least as indicated it will do through the Attorney General's office, is attempt to come up with a formula for disbursement of the funds to subdivisions throughout the state and to agencies throughout the state that deal with these types of issues. The only practical way for the village of Homer Glen and other villages and municipalities to hopefully be allowed to participate in the distribution is to first authorize participation in the litigation. There's no cost to do that, and there's no guarantee that funds will be dispersed to the village. However, or any other municipal subdivisions for that, or divisions for that fact. However, if there is a disbursement, the funds would have to be segregated and used for the purposes that are going to be established by the Attorney General's office and the other Attorneys General of the other states for addressing the national opioid problem, which apparently has grown instead of reduced even during the period of COVID. It just didn't take center stage. So what this motion would do would be to just authorize the village to indicate that it will participate, and then hopefully may result in some funds coming to the village, which could probably be used for various purposes, such as training or establishing a program or programs to address some of these things, possibly in schools or through your fire protection districts, or possibly in conjunction with the Will County Sheriff's Office.
And you had found this. I want to thank you for keeping your eyes wide open and looking out for the village and bringing this to our attention, because it was something that I had not heard about until you brought it forward, and I want to thank you for doing that.
Yes, thank you.
Does that mean I can hang around for another hour? That's it in some, and I think I included a letter.
I saw that.
It should be in the packet. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
It's correct that you don't have to have a program in place prior to.
You do not have to have
Okay.
anything in place. However, if funds are awarded to you through the Attorney General's
Then you would have to have a program.
you have to
You're right.
utilize them for what they will presumably say you can do.
Right.
And they'll probably list certain types of programs that you can use them. If you don't want to use them, then you just reject funds.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Motion carries. This item requires the board to make a motion selecting an option for staff direction. Is there a motion to direct staff with one of the listed options? Direct staff to continue to research villages' possible memberships in the proposed City of Joliet Water Commission to obtain Lake Michigan water from the City of Chicago via a new transmission line. It is understood that the village will need to make a final determination on the Water Commission membership and notify the City of Joliet of this decision no later than the end of January 2022. Direct staff to cease research on the village's possible membership in the proposed City of Joliet Water Commission and notify the City of Joliet of this decision immediately. I need a motion.
I'd like to ask Legislative Council just one question, please. Carrie, being the way this is put together and there's an A and a B, is this properly set up to be able to vote on? Let's say one trustee wanted A and one trustee wanted B. I'm just curious. I've never seen one set up this way.
It can be established like this. Let's say you wanted to do A. You would make a motion. If you get a second, it could then be a roll call on that. If another, if that motion carries, then you would be following whatever is set forth in A. If you want B, you can do the same. If you want to make a motion to reject both, you can do that. I think right now what your staff is looking for is some direction on how you want them to proceed as to whether to continue with Joliet in its efforts or to simply cease.
Okay, so whoever would make the motion would have to say whether it's for A or B. Okay, thank you.
Pick your poison.
All right.
Well,
Is there room for a motion? I'll make that motion for B.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
And this is to go on B, not, okay. All right. So, Dan and Nikki. Okay. So what we're going with right now is direct staff to cease research for the village's possible membership in the proposed City of Joliet Water Commission and notify the City of Joliet that this decision immediately. So, is there any other discussion that we have?
Sir, I'd like to hear, I know you had made a recommendation in the last meeting, because you sit on the commission, so is that something you back? I mean, B. Gotcha.
And just so the public knows, that cost would be $75 million, $75 million. If I'm incorrect about that, let me know.
It's in that area.
It would not benefit Homer residents immediately. It would be for building the future of Homer Glen. You would then be paying for the Joliet water line and IWA cost. So the only thing it would do would increase your water bill without the benefit of getting the water. So at this time, being that we still are in legal proceedings with IWA, it was said at our last meeting that we need to get finished with that first and see where we end up. But the only thing it ends up doing is costing more for water. We're looking to reduce the cost of water. So that if you hadn't heard the last meeting, that was some of the discussion.
Yeah. Not just the water, it would show us both ways. Putting all the pipes in, it would be on our back. Then when they finally start putting the water through, it goes through Illinois American Water lines.
And the way I understand it, we don't even, there would be additional substations that would have to be built on our dime also. So this is just a fraction, like you said.
I think one of the other biggest issues with the Joliet Commission for the village is the idea that a lot of the other towns and villages that are participating, the 74 million or whatever that price is, they're pledging their current water revenue. You don't have any. That's the biggest issue right here. They don't have to come up with $74 or $75 million out of pocket and say, here you go. They're pledging those revenues in the future. You don't have that to pledge.
No.
So they would be looking for that money in other means.
Right.
So.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
No.
Wait.
It's for B.
That was a little confusing.
Your motion is to direct staff to cease any further discussions and to notify the city that you don't want to participate.
You can vote no, but I think you want yes.
No, I want to vote yes.
Okay.
I was going to say, do you want to read each one out loud?
Yeah.
Clearly for every, okay, here. And Christina, you want to do that?
You want me to read it? The B? Okay, so you are voting to direct staff to cease research of the village's possible membership in the proposed City of Joliet Water Commission and notify the City of Joliet of the decision immediately.
Thank you.
I vote yes.
Okay. Trustee Pazmino.
Yes to B.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
I to B.
And Trustee Cancelino.
I to B.
Motion carries. All right, next, workshop discussion of property tax levy options. No action will be taken on this, just a discussion. So, with that being said, everyone here has to understand that a year ago is when we went into the option of...
Sir, before we get started with the workshop, I'd like to make a motion to take a 3-minute break, if we could.
That's fine.
Because I think this is going to take a little bit of time, and if you would allow that, I'd appreciate it.
Not a problem. Make it 5 minutes, just in case.
So for the record, it's 9:21. We will return in 9:26.
5 minutes, yes.
Does your mom have any?
And that's what's in the...
Can we let Carrie go?
Yeah, I don't see why. We're not
Merry
voting on
Christmas.
anything. Thank you for all your help, sir.
I've got 2 hearings tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I wish that could be.
I should have called you to that. I should have put that together. No, I'm out of here for tonight, yeah.
Merry Christmas if I don't get to see you. I think we're going to do what? We did it as an extended branch. Did you get I did ask. And I know I can go to the right, leave it in the I don't have any checks to talk about things like that. Because remember we want to talk about the community and development committee and how we should do like a community thing. Well, I'm asking. I'm tired of trying to. It was, but it wasn't because I didn't want to. It was because we were saying.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. And then the second time was when I had said, Stallions are going to be right? We had the baseball and we had that. First thing you said was, I think they should do something like that. Here, this last year, I said, no, I said, 66%
I don't know.
I didn't say anything nasty until I asked you.
There was some stuff on there, and it wasn't all, it wasn't me. I don't even know. Going back and forth, and it seemed like so much of it.
There's nothing nasty on that.
No, I didn't say that. I just said there was accusations. I don't know where all that came from.
I'm glad you told me to, because wait a minute. That is a nice gesture, man. That turned into nuts.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't.
So are we going to get beat up here or what?
No. It's all perception.
Okay.
I hope you perceive it the same.
Yes, I did. That's why I was. I don't know about that one.
You should. It's not,
What do you see there? This is why I'm saying, I was told, because
said, Eric, you said 926, right?
I was already on my way back.
It was 921, it's now 930. George, it's 9:31. 5 minutes behind. Wait, we need Jennifer available.
If we could please get back to the meeting. No, this isn't closed, anyone can still sit here. Yeah. So no one has to be chased out, we're just, we want to make sure that we've got this stuff set because winter's here. So, all right, we're back in, all right.
It is now 9:32.
Okay, so what we're having is a discussion on the property tax levy options, and no action will be taken. This is for the road district. So anyhow, we took it over last year. The township was still paying for the bulk of it, and we put out a $1.5 million levy, and then we also put, I think it was $59 for every $100,000 that the house was worth, because we were in a situation to where we didn't know where all the money was going to come from. So the way it works right now, township had switched over all their parks to us right now. So we've taken that on. That's help, that's material, that's equipment. Then we have we're going to be plowing the entire our entire 22 miles. So we're going to be doing the work that's in Township, and then we'll be doing it for here. And I've been thinking about this. So what we did is we kind of figured this. When we talked to Steve Balich, he said that they would give us some money, we get some money automatically out of their levy. We don't know if it's going to be $400,000 or $500,000. We right now have $1.5 million that we set for a levy. If we get the 400 or 500 from, well, we will get the 400 or 500,000 from the township, that will bring us up to 1.9. And you're not going to be able to get it done for 1.9. So what we did is we figured what it cost last year for everyone to have the road district taken care of. And the way we have it right now is if we made our levy instead of 1.5 million, you'd be looking at 2.4 million. And what that does is it covers the 2.4 and then the money from the township. So after you get those two together, it works out to, you're being close to $3 million. Now, when it was being done by the township, they went ahead and did a levy for 5.9. So we figured with what we can come up with money-wise, and if, God forbid, we ran out of it, we do have money that we can go to, but that's money that I really don't want to touch. It should never be touched. It's a 1% sales tax for the village. But when we divided up what we have in it, and you can help out here, Matt, that our tax levy that we want to put in, including the 1.9 million and the rest of the money that's in there, that's coming to us, there would be no bump in what the people are paying right now for the road district tax. We are actually a little bit under, I don't know what it was, $27?
That, one of the options was that, and we can explore that more.
All right. So this is something that, and this is the same thing that has to do with what's going on with parks. No matter how you look at it, it's got to be done. When we went out to, when Mike came to us and said that he'd like to turn over the thing because he wasn't going to run at the time, he wanted to make sure that Homer Glen was taken care of, and we would be able to do all the plowing, the roads, trim the trees, whatever the road district did, that's what we were gonna do. Then unfortunately, he passed away, and at the time, the township had put out a referendum to take over the road district, and what we got scared of is who's gonna be running it? And who's gonna be able, you know, most of the money from this, for the road district, came from this village. So, the way it sits right now, and we said that we would take care of the entire piece, I believe that we can get this thing done for 3 million and, or 2.9, whatever we're ending up with. And it won't put any more impact on any of the residents that are here. This village is very frugal. When they wanted to do the build out on this building, I think they had it up to about $3 million for the build out. I don't remember exactly what we did it for, but I think it was 1.6 million. We don't spend money that's, you know, we understand this isn't our money. This is the taxpayers' money. So you're trying to make it as best as you possibly can for everybody. And I really haven't had anyone complain to me about what they paid for their road levy, because one thing they always had is the streets were basically perfect when you got done. You know, every time it snowed, they got it cleared. Anytime you had a problem with any of the trees, it was fixed. Anytime you had a problem with the roads, it's been fixed. We plan on doing the exact same thing that they did before, and we'll do it cheaper. So this really isn't a hard workshop, you know, discussion for property tax levy. This is something, no matter how you look at it, you have to do. If you don't put up a tax right now, and the cutoff date on this is what, the 18th or?
28th.
So 28th that this is?
Correct.
All right. Other people have told me it's sooner than that. If you don't get it in before the levy options close, well, then you get nothing. So now we have to answer to all the residents in here why nothing's being plowed, nothing's being fixed, nothing's being cut down. And this village will be in a lot of problems. This is a learning process. We've never done this before. And I think that what we've done for the last 20 years is wonderful, taking a look at what this village has and what it has changed and what it's been, you know, turned into. So if the tax levy isn't put through, and we're going to definitely need more than $1.5 million, or let's even say, let's say it's $2 million because we get $500,000 from the township. You know, because the township, like I said before, they did a levy every year at 5.9 million, correct? Was a levy for the township?
Theirs was a little over 5 million last year.
Okay.
It's been around 5 million the last few years.
Okay. And there's nothing that, we don't want to do that. There's no need for it. That's just peeing money away from the, you know, the village, and you can't do that. So rather than freaking out, we've got a year to take care of this. If we can't do it for that, then there's something wrong. And that's why I tried telling you with the lawn service. With everything that's out there, I don't know if you guys understand, this is the first year that we've got 6 more parks here that we have to get going. Money's just not going to fall on a tree, and no one really has to pay get the taxes up. What we have to do is start working together as a team and getting more businesses in here and more houses in here. And if we do something like that, you've got money coming in. You got to remember, there's not a municipal tax here, but there is a sales tax. And if you get that many more people in the village, you got money coming in. We can sit down with the schools, because the schools are lower than, they don't have as many kids as they've had for the last few years. They charge the same levy every year. So we have to go after the people that have the money that are charging. I mean, I look at my tax bill and I think mine is 72% of my tax bill goes to the schools. And I'm not saying the schools don't need money, but do you need all of it? Do you need everything that they're doing? What are they doing with the money? I'd like to see the books. and see exactly what they're collecting every year and why are you collecting. Last time they put the referendum up for a school, for another school to be built, they turned it down and they had the money to do it anyhow. So that's what we need to do. We need to work together as a team, not separate. This has to be us working together. And as for the levy, I'm telling you, if we don't get I would say at least the 2.9 million, you're not going to get this job done. Everyone knew it was going to cost money when we did this, and the people voted to say yes. We're not going to let them down. We have never let them down yet, and I don't plan on letting them down anytime new, coming forward. So I'll ask you questions on the workshop, for the discussion of the property tax levy, because that's what we're working on right now. So Dan, I'll start with you. What do you think we should do?
Well, I've got a few comments, I guess I could start with. For one, when this came about, right, last year, December 10th, 2020, there were people on the board that were telling everybody that it was a one-time tax at one time.
Well, right now, that's all it's been.
That's for 1 year. And it got backdated all the way till April, so it ended up on this year's budget. So we do have a municipal tax. It was already put on there. So you have a municipal tax right now. And as far as people complaining, I have heard people complaining. That's the concern right now. We're hearing complaints from people that they don't want their taxes raised. And I know you are correct with saying that the schools are 70% responsible. I get that. But from your estimates on December 10th, 2020, was 1.5. You're asking for double that, even at 3 million. You're doubling that.
No, we're not. I don't want to interrupt you, but all I'm trying to tell you is you're wrong there with the 1.5. We went ahead and every year we do $1.5 million, and it was given to the highway department. And then we also gave them road and tax or road and bridge for paying it. And so over the years, we've paid a lot more than $1.5 million to the township.
Okay, and if we were paying more than 1.5, then why did we only use 1.5 as the basis? That would be one of my questions. And as far as people voting for this, I don't know what you're speaking in regards to, but the referendum was not so the village could move forward, and we've had this discussion before. It was not so the village could move forward to take over the road district. It was so that Pam Myers and the township did not get control of the road district, and they wanted to leave it into Vivo's hands. It was not the okay or the green light for the village to take it. But we are far beyond that right now. There are people hurting this economy. I don't know that we've done all our homework as far as being able to look at the whole village. I mean, from everything, from we just brought in a public works director. We've got now a new director for planning commission, or for planning. We've got a lot of things we're bringing in. I see all this movement in the office. I see a lot of things taking place, but I don't see where we've had anything on paper. Okay, here's what's inefficient throughout the whole village. Here's what's running efficient, and where we can make other cuts. We haven't looked to make any cuts, and we have to operate like a business. You have a business, we had a business. There's several people in here that have businesses, and you're not going to be handed money as a business from somebody else unless you raise your prices. And if you raise your prices, people will go somewhere else, or they'll leave, or whatever. They won't use your services. But that's similar with us. As a village, we need to see where the inefficiencies are a little bit that I haven't seen in the past, and see where we can cut back on things. And yes, maybe you do need a little bit of money for this levy, but I'm not seeing, for myself, in the short time that I've been here, the 6 months, and I've been a resident for 27 years, I've never seen where the village actually looked, and I'm not blaming it on you, but I mean where the village has taken and looked to see where things could be cut in other places. Like we were given this 3 options here on paper but I didn't see it. Oh, and it also said that, oh, well, we're going to have to cut back on you being able to do things for each of these classifications. But nowhere in there did I see something that said, well, we looked at the village completely from equipment to all employees to everything that's going on within the village, and we don't see any inefficiencies. So, I mean, to justify and to help the public understand, to have something like that on paper and say we've actually done our homework to see that we don't have other areas where monies could be cut back and keep this to a minimum. Again, we're still, no matter which way we look at it, it was 1.5 million on December 10th, and now it's 3 million. So in my eyes, and in the public's eyes, I'm sure, it's doubled from what they were told. And it is not, and has never been, a one-time tax. It is every year that this will be happening. So whatever you heard last year on December 10th, 2020, that this is a one-time tax, it was said at that podium, it was said from this desk. It is not a one-time tax, and never has been a one-time tax. So I struggle, this is where I'm struggling. Our village needs to continue functioning, yes, absolutely, but I'm thinking that we maybe have some homework to do.
We've been doing homework for a long time now.
Well, I just named the things that we possibly haven't.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I could please do a presentation to go over this before we continue. Thank you. So I'd just like to start out by saying it's our intent to have minimal impact on the taxpayers. And I'll explain how we get to that point with some of the cases, that the 3 that were provided to the board and a 4th one that we'll discuss tonight. And I'd also like to say that our goal is to continue the high service level that's been delivered to the residents at the minimal impact to the residents. So I want to start off by saying that it is true, all the options that were given to the board in that memo involved a tax increase from the village directly. That does not necessarily translate to an increase on the individual residents and what they pay because of the tax structure and the impact that a lower levy from the Homer Township Road District has. The village has always paid property tax for public works. It just wasn't under a Village of Homer Glen tax line. So there was a comment in public comment made earlier discussing that the idea to basically move the tax levy from township line items to the village, that is effectively what we're trying to get accomplished here today. So it is true, the proposals that the staff had proposed included an increase to the village municipal property tax. But overall, that impact is alleviated by decreases elsewhere because we are now responsible for operating the roads and the Homer Township Road District isn't. So there is potential for savings for the taxpayer with some of these proposals. So I'll just skip straight to the 4 options that staff has discussed. That first box includes the tax levy that was done last year that we've discussed about already. So that $1.5 million was levied by the village last year. There was some discussion about how we arrived at that number. At the time, there was a lot of uncertainty about whether the village was going to acquire the road district, and the road district also had that same uncertainty, so they levied effectively their full amount that they had done previous years. And what that resulted in was a hit on the taxpayers. That was the highest aggregate levy that the township, at least that these 3 entities had done ever. So that led to a total aggregate levy of $6.8 million. And there's been discussion of temporary. I'm not sure who would have said that. I don't believe that was the intent of anyone that discussed that, because I think the intent at the time was hoping that the road district would cease to exist and that the village would take care of it. That was the original offer. Back at those meetings last October, we had renderings of tax bills that showed all those 2 tax items disappearing and the village replacing that. So I'll just say that temporary, if that was said, was inaccurate. I think our goal is to continue to find savings and efficiencies, and I think that we've done that in a lot of ways, and we won't really know until we're done through a full winter with the road district, with the public works, I should say. John, would you mind hopping in on some of these cases?
Sure. We do know that the Homer Township Road District's going to levy a sum of $1.75 million. That's a $3,330,000 levy reduction. That's how the taxpayers are going to come out without a burden on this. Case one is something we talked about a couple meetings ago, where we're going to give you scenarios where we're just going to flip the aggregate. And that case does that. And if we did that, because the township's a larger geographic taxing district, it would increase that homeowner's taxes by $36 on a $300,000 market value home. Case two is we levy the 1.5, plus we're also, because the township's road district levy is going down by 3.3 million, our 32% share that we get by law is going to decrease by $951,000. So we added that to it. So the sum of that results in a $4.5 million levy, which would cause a $27 decrease on a homeowner's tax bill. Case three is really what we project that based on the 3-year average revenues that the district had levied, plus some COLAs and some for salt increases and gas increases and maybe labor cost increases. We think that's what you're going to need to run this at the same level that the district ran it, just based on the monies that they levied in the last 3 years. If we did that, that would cause the taxpayer's tax bill to go up $24. So case four, obviously the best of all is if we reduce that case three by $900,000 and bring it down to 3.8 million, there will be no impact. There will be no tax impact on a resident with a $300,000 market value home. And we'll probably have to subsidize about $900,000 of the road department, and we could do that with home rule sales tax or efficiencies that we hope to achieve. Is there any questions?
Yes, you know what, the levy that took place for this past year, when that was passed in December 2010, and they backdated it to this year to include it on the taxes, that is correct. That it took that.
You said 2010? What was that?
Well, not 2020.
December of 2020?
2020.
Yeah.
They voted to do this, and there was the $1.5 million. That, as far as I know, it was backdated, so it took place as of April.
No.
April 1st of.
The mechanics of a levy are that you have to pass it by the end of the year, and it's 1 year in arrears. So you collect it in 21. They don't apportion it in 21. So there was no backdating. Whatever you levy that year is what you get in the following year.
That's understood, but if I could go back in the paperwork, but as far as that goes, it was, what was the backdate for that?
I don't know I haven't seen any backdating.
As far as I know, it was.
On the levy with the county?
No, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Trustee. If you're talking about the budget, we are fiscal year May 1st, so that we included, right.
I just want to know what the total ended up being with backdating it and what the levy was for what the previous board had come up with in that December before the new board came in. What that combination of the two, what it was.
Maybe this is what you mean. We, with the road district levy, the village received $1.4 million. That is that 32% that we received from the Homer Township Road District. So in this budget year, we are receiving $2.92 million in property taxes. 1.5 of that is from the levy that this board approved directly from the village. The other half is the portion that we get because of state law from Homer Township Road District. So in this budget, fiscal year '22, the village is receiving almost $3 million in property taxes already. Or we've almost received all of that already, if that makes sense.
And you get that twice a year.
So that's what the case 2 and what the mayor was explaining earlier, that's trying to basically match what we're receiving this year, but by shifting some of that money from that we're losing because of the reduction in the road district levy to the village levy.
See, Dan, before, what they did is the township and the village paid for this. The township actually paid more than what we paid. That's how we got in trouble with the money that we owe Lockport. So right now, there's nothing that's backlogged. You have to put the levy in soon enough, because if you don't get it in on time, you don't get it. You don't get it for the next year. So it's not like anyone's trying to sneak something out. That's just the way the levy works.
And I'll also touch on a challenge that's kind of behind the scenes here. The Homer Township Road District levied on approximately 40,000 residents, obviously the full township. The village can't do that. We have a much smaller base to levy this tax on. So that is
63%.
right. So that's a challenge for from the village's perspective in trying to meet that funding.
Well, that's how come they reduced their levy by $3.3 million, and we slot in with only having to increase our levy 1.8 million over the 1.5. It gets disconnected. So, I'm sorry, that's very confusing. It is true, the geographic, Homer Glen represents 63% of the township geographically equalized assessed value. So we have 2/3 of the size to collect that revenue that we need to operate the district.
And you're saying that's where the $24 difference comes in?
Well, each case they're presented, shows what the impact to the resident would be. We would highly recommend case 4, which establishes a revenue that they have been working with for the past 3 years, and it's very close to what we would anticipate the cost to be, and hopefully with some efficiencies, we'll actually break even and not have to dip into our capital project reserves. Because if you do not fund this at this level, and you have to continue to subsidize it with capital project funds, those will eventually become depleted, and you will have a project that needs funding that you'll have to go to the bond market. But this time, you won't have an alternate revenue to pledge against it. It will go on the taxpayer's tax bill as a general obligation debt, not as an alternate revenue bond like we sold in 2012. So you're gonna have to do it either way, one way or the other. I don't know, a few years down the road, but eventually you'll run out of money if you continue with the 1.5.
Can I ask a question, John? Of the home rule tax is 1%. If we increase the home rule tax, will that cover the deficit?
Home rule brings in $2.8 million per year. It just got freed up just recently when we paid the bonds off early. We were hoping that we could use it as the capital project funding for the future, infrastructure and capital. By taking that money and obligating it to public works, you no longer have a designated revenue for capital projects.
But if you increase the home rule tax?
So if you add a quarter point to it, you'll increase it by $700,000.
That's all?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot.
Well, it's only a quarter of a point.
Yeah. I have some questions and some comments. Do we have the economic impact or feasibility study that we did for this tax?
For what?
Do we have an economic impact or feasibility study for this tax from a year ago?
No.
You're telling me we didn't do a study to find out the feasibility. Where did we get to the point of 1.5 million?
That's a plug. The village used $1 million of motor fuel tax funds, plus the 1.3 or 1.4 that it received from the road district, and that was the amount necessary to fund the road district if the merger went through.
Okay, but clearly it wasn't enough, and so we never did a study.
We didn't put any capital in it.
So we never did a study, is what you're telling me? Okay. Now, from what my understanding is, and please tell me if I'm wrong, so the township levy was about 5 million, in which they paid the state statutes half share. After paying the half share to Homer, Lockport, et cetera, and ours is, like you said, 63%, they were left with 3 million to run the road district. So
This year.
So what I'm saying is they ran it. They had also anticipated through Mike DeVivo that they were building a public works department. They were making it as the best that they could possibly be. They were anticipating this move over. So if they were able to make it work on 3 million, why are we asking for 5 million? And why are we not discussing that the half share gets taken out? See, we don't pay the half share. The township had to. We get all of the 1.5 million that we levied. They don't get what they levied.
I know, we
Correct.
returned our 32% back to them.
As part of the IGA for 17 years, the money that we got, we gave directly back to the road district, so they got our share of that for 17 years.
Okay, so we're still going to be getting,
You're going to average in $4 million a year.
that's not what I was looking at on paper. I was looking at 3. I mean, you're looking at the levies, you know, everybody's talking about the parks, and I brought that up earlier. With the parks, their levy for parks was $315,000. Do you know what that included? That included our 6 parks that we just took over. So is that 50 or 70 acres that we got? Because I was told 50, but John said it was 70. So I just want to be clear for the record.
I can't remember.
Okay, so like I said, I was told 50. I listened to John say 70 today. Nobody else remembers? All right, so for the 315 that was levied with the township, that included the 6 parks. It also included Morris Park, which was huge. And then on top of that, it included the maintenance for the old township hall, the newer township hall, and the senior center, and a few other things. So not all of that went to manage the parks. So when people are saying we have to do this to basically supplement the parks, I disagree with that completely. And I think that's bad.
We didn't pay for our existing parks last year.
Okay, well, and I know that the motor fund, and I said this to you a couple months ago when we did the push and pull tax meeting, that, you know, clearly, I'm losing my train of thought here, I'm sorry. What was I saying? So
We need revenue, I remember.
yeah, we need revenue. Now,
The revenues are the best, like home rule and local motor.
well, and so we discussed that, but nobody's been telling us about this deficit until now, okay? And so I don't think that was very fair to be dumped on us, and in the fashion that it was. You know, this is, to everybody else, this is just business as usual, right? And that's what it was made to sound like, and it's still being made to sound like this is just business, you gotta do this. I'm listening to comments on here, you know, first and foremost, like what Trustee Fialco stated, why are we not looking at any cutbacks on anything? This hasn't been, it's not even an option?
Well, this is a really essential service, and I don't think you should really cheap out on this. You should, there's been a distinct revenue line that the township's been using to fund this service. And I would recommend the first year that you step right into that. And if we save $1 million, drop the levy next year $1 million.
How many employees do we have right now with Public Works? How many?
24?
24?
No, it's 41 or 42. 42?
And that's for Public Works, correct?
That's both.
That's both.
Yeah,
How
that's
many on
both.
Public Works?
15.
15, okay. So the road district on the other side did it with 14. They did a very good job with it. Nobody ever complained about anything that was done with the road district on the township side, correct? I've never heard any complaints. Everybody was very happy, and it accommodated for all of the same. Now, how many people did we just hire, or are we going to hire, Stacy? 4 more? For Public Works?
We don't have any open positions.
There's no opening, we just filled everything?
There was one position.
Okay. Do we have a concept of how much the upcoming union is going to cost us? So we have no idea on that either.
We did give a, yeah.
So again, I'm going to ask the question because I'm a taxpayer. Why are we not looking at cutbacks with the village?
Do we even have a full assessment of?
I was looking at the revenue stream.
Okay.
They've been established for a long time. There's the most volatile department from an expenditure standpoint is Public Works. It'll deviate hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of many years. I thought the most fiscally sound and safe thing for this village to do would be to budget what they worked with. And knowing that we're going to run it more efficient, but at least we use some trended data that they use to operate.
Well, we didn't do any feasibility studies, so I don't understand how we can project any of this.
I had their statements. I had 3 years of their data.
Okay. How much do we get per head for the head tax?
You should have called me and asked me these questions. You're asking me stuff off the cuff. I don't know.
I've asked for stuff before and I haven't received an answer.
You didn't ask me for anything.
Not true.
That's not true?
Yes.
John, have you ever talked to her?
I've sent him emails and I have copies where he did not respond. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, well, we go back to, let's not pick on each other. We're trying to get this thing set up to where we need to. As for, I've been to a lot of different villages. I've been to a lot of different cities. And I think by far, the way we run this one, there's no one that compares to us. I mean, you have to look at, take Evergreen Park. Their bill for police is $13 million a year. Ours is $4 million. I don't think we can do any better than that. Our fire departments, they're taxing their own. You go to any other place and they have a big bill on that. I don't know what you guys are looking to find out. It's simple. We're going to be less than what it was before we took over. How much? I don't know. This is the first year we're doing it. Last year when we got it, there wasn't a winner left anymore. So it's just like the parks. You got to give this thing a year and let's see what it is. And like John said, if it's lower, we lower down the rate. If it's higher, then the people have to understand this is what it costs to be able to do it. No one gives up anything. Every year, everything is getting more expensive. Go to a grocery store. Go get gasoline. I probably spend $450 to $500 a month on just one vehicle with gasoline. The prices have gone up. Everyone's, I don't see anywhere in our village where someone's peeing away money. Everyone works very hard around here. We have one of the smallest staffs in the area. Everywhere else you go, you could have double or triple what you have. I look at the staff that we have, and they're the best I've ever seen anywhere. They watch out for every single solitary thing that we do. And trust me, they step up and say, whoa, wait, we got to rethink that one. Okay. That's what the staff is for too, to help us, the same way we want to help them. I don't know what you guys, to me it kind of blows my mind on how much you think that we've stolen so much. I can't tell you how many times I was told I'm making all kinds of money off the sports complex. I still haven't found that sports complex. I don't know where it is. So nothing's ever been done here that's been crooked. We're trying to do our absolute best on this, and we still get kickback. You guys think that we're trying to hold everything back from you. I don't see that. Jennifer, especially for you, you FOIA everything. So they can't hold anything back from you. They're giving it to you. But then even when they give it to you, you tell you didn't get enough. Well, if that's all that's out there, what are they supposed to do?
Let's go back to problem solving really quick. So let's rewind. What are you suggesting then? You know, what would you think?
What I would say right now is, well, Matt, go ahead with what you and me talked about.
Well, I think what the mayor and I had spoken about was case 2, I guess, minus the park levy, which comes out to $2.4 million. That is literally taking what we're losing from the Homer Township Road District and replacing it by raising the village levy to make up that difference.
Isn't that how it was explained last year, though, that we were just switching line items and it turned out to be a little bit different than that?
Well, I'll say that won't cover the cost. And I want to go back to that discussion about the Homer Township Road District.
Mm-hmm.
It is true that the road district received $3 million this year.
Right.
And in the past, we gave back our share of that, which was about $1.3 million, which is exactly what that number in case 3 is, because that's the number. This year, we kept the money, and the Homer Township Road District, that no longer maintains village roads, has $3 million. And they're planning to levy another $1.75 million. So that's where that $4.3 million in case 3 comes from. And this case 2 is just, I'm not trying to act like that will cover what the operations will be. The operations is going to be closer to that $4.3 million. And that doesn't include potential equipment costs.
So they collected the levy still, they gave us the parks, and they kept the $3 million, is what you're saying?
As of now, yes, they've received the property tax. And
Is there any plans of them transferring it over to the village? Do we know?
not that's been discussed, no. Well, I will say that as part of the IGA, the road district is paying for the time and materials that it takes for us to take care of their 18 miles of roads.
And do we know what that is? Do we know what that amounts to, Matt?
We've estimated about $300,000, I think is what it came out to, just based on the percentage of the roads and how much it cost in the past.
And we're getting probably $420,000 with our 63%.
Right.
For this year.
I believe we had 470,000, but
470.
somewhere in that range, yes.
No, I want to see other ideas. I want to hear other ideas.
What do you want to hear?
I want to hear alternatives, and I want to hear about cutbacks.
I agree
more
with
clear about that.
Trustee Consolino. It's not only about taxing, because at the end of the day, it's easy to take over the road district like we did and say, well, let's figure it out later, what was done. 1.5 million, excuse me, sir, $1.5 million levy was weighed on. We knew for a fact that it was going to cost a lot more because we were told in many sessions that, hey, this is nowhere near what we're going to need. And we vote, well, not we, I didn't. The rest of the board voted it in anyway. And here we are, holding the baby. So it's kind of like a balloon. You squeeze it here, it blows up here. Something's got to be taxed. And unfortunately, in this instance, it's going to be our property, as usual.
And it won't be an additional, though.
Is it going to be less than last year's?
Yeah, that's what we're figuring right now.
Case 2 is $27 less.
And if we remove the parks, it would be $30.
Why are we asking for an increase, though?
Well, it's our increase because the village is the one directly levying now instead of the road district. So it appears to be an increase from our perspective. The village the percent that would be on the notice will be a large amount. It will look bad if you just take it from that. But the road district levy is going down by almost 70%. So we're getting 70% less from them. So we're making up that loss.
Squeeze in here and it's blown up here.
Well, no,
We're
it's
not
just
paying
that
for the
the
road
township, the way they're structuring their money after they came in, because you got to remember before, when Pam was inside there and Mike DeVivo was still there, you were still getting, they were getting the money and we were getting the money and putting it together. Well, now, with Steve taking away all the taxes on it, that money's gone. So if the money's gone, now we have to make it up a different way. But even if we did the levy at, what did we say, 1.9 or
2.4, I think, is the number that.
2.4?
Well, last year, the reason we charged more was because we weren't sure if we were going to win the lawsuit. So we doubled it, basically.
Well,
Homer
both
Township-
entities.
No
Yes.
double.
Yes, it was double. I remember the meeting.
Wait.
Hold on, let me finish.
But the property tax that we put out there was $59 per 100,000 for.
More.
Right.
More.
And then there was, he said more, see? And then there was.
But it came
For
back
300,000, for 300,000.
Came in at 43.
Right, but didn't they lower it down when Will County paid us? They didn't give us 50, whatever it was. It was down to 47 something.
Eventually came down.
There was 2 line items, and I think that's where Trustee Fialco was talking about. It was going to be a one-time charge, because we weren't sure if we were going to win the road district or not, but we had to put that levy in order for us to get that money. So we said, let's cover our bases. The village was going to charge, and the road district was going to charge. So there were 2 line items, which is why it appears like it's going to go down, but that it's going to go down, of course, because we're not being charged twice this year. That was my whole point. So these numbers, I guess I don't want to say smoke and mirrors, but of course, it looks like we're going to pay less this year because we're not paying that double levy. Am I right?
That's a fair point. So that's $6.8 million is especially.
Ruben, you're right. You're right, what you're saying.
So I don't want to mislead the public, because numbers are numbers, but when you present them a certain way, let's present it the right way. Let's be factual. So what we're saying, instead of putting the burden on the Homer Glen property resident, because we already bought the baby. We own this, it's ours. You guys passed it, that's it. We got to take care of it. No use in crying over spilt milk. But we're saying, and now that we're talking about it, let's look at other ways that we could subsidize some of this instead of raising the property tax. That's all we're saying.
Okay. And we will, and we are trying, but there's certain things you just don't go after. I mean, when we never had the gas tax until me and John sat down and we figured it out, and we put a 3% in. And actually, there was at one point where a guy came through and he says, you didn't charge enough, you should have charged a nickel.
Actually, it's
Right,
3
you
cents,
can't-
not
no.
3%.
3 cents.
3 cents.
3% would have been.
All right, 3 cents. And then, well, that's why he said you cheated yourself out, you should have put it in for a nickel. Here, what we did is, we did it to someone outside of this area. If the people shopped here, yeah, it cost them a penny extra for every dollar that they spent. But most of it was a gas tax that we kept getting all the stuff on, so I mean, it did help. As for trimming more, I'm never against trimming anything, but as long as we don't trim it down to where no one would want to come here anymore. I've said it multiple times, that's why I brought up the sports complex. Bring people in, they spend money, you'll have it. Well, now we don't have that, we won't have it, so we have to think of a different way to do it. We've got some people that want to come in here and do some buildings, but they've been having a lot of headaches, and they're not quite sure if they want to come in, and it would be a multi-million-dollar
Well, I think that's where we should be smart and do things gradually and basically do things the way we've been doing them. You don't have to go all in. You could go, little by little. You're right, development is an issue because, let's face it, nobody wants anybody to build next to them, right? But we have to be smart about things.
We have to make people understand that it's important to our growth.
Right, if we don't want more taxes, then obviously we're either going to need more commercial or more rooftops, right?
Yeah.
There could be a delicate balance between those. Or, for example, maybe we could loosen up our restrictions a little more on gaming. Maybe we could do a little bit more with alcohol. I mean, there's a lot more we can do than hit the homer on the property taxes, and that's my point. Now, one thing that was visited before that is less of a brunt on the homeowner, and it was brought up, and a PPA tax, which is notoriously known as the tax against farmers, which is not the case at all. A PPA tax, which is a per person admission tax, would be a percentage on anybody who's charging at the door. Doesn't matter who it is. I've charged at the door. I don't know if Rosie has.
I do. I have
There's a lot of
friends,
people
yeah.
who have charged at the door. It's a small percentage. It hits mostly people who are coming from out of town in, and again, these are just things that we're throwing out there. Maybe giving gaming to a little more people that we weren't before. Maybe giving it to, Lenny's over by 355. Lord knows how much money that would pull in. And guess what? We're not taxing anybody. So, these are a lot of things that I think we should put out there. I hate to see, before we were a little bougie and not giving people certain things, but I think we're past that now, especially with this. Let's empower our businesses to enable to make themselves to make more money. That way it trickles down in sales tax.
I think
Those are the things that we should be looking at.
I agree with you, Trustee Pazmino. I think what this board collectively, what I'm hearing, is we would just like the village, us, the board and the village, to think out of the paradigm that we're currently in, and not thinking of other ideas and other ways to handle it without just taxing the residents. I think having a blended, if we can blend it somehow between some of the things Trustee Pazmino said and some of the other things that were discussed, I think it can be done. But to just put it all on the residents with an increase of whichever slot we would pick, 1 through 4 here, I don't think that is the way to go. I think thinking outside of the paradigm and having bright ideas or new ideas, and even if they're not voted on, I mean, the ideas should be there where we're not just thinking one way. You know, okay, we need to tax the residents. So I think that's where the board is at collectively, just thinking that there might be other ideas to work around this.
I have a question. John, are Home Depot, Menards, Meyer, are they still getting a rebate on their taxes on the 1%? No? They're done with that?
So is Myers.
So is Meyer?
So is Menards.
Menards as well?
They are.
Okay.
Yep.
Great news.
Yeah.
So it all comes back to us right now.
Okay, good.
And when did that end?
Well, a couple months ago and some last year.
Okay, so there's money that's going to be coming in that we weren't getting from those businesses. Has that been calculated into the change?
John,
It is in the budget.
It's earmarked already? Yeah?
Yes.
So we are trying to do, I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying. We need money to be able to survive here as Homer Glen. I am not one of them that want to start because someone came into the village and is making some money and because they're charging something at the doorway, we should take a piece of it. I disagree. They come in, they spend money. I'm sure they eat at both your restaurants when they're here if they come to Bankston's or even if they come to Konos, which is a little bit further. They're spending money. If we keep, you know, it was the same thing with the poll tax. It's something that these restaurants and everything, they survive on some of the stuff. If you're taking money away from all these people, why would they even want to stay?
Yeah, but George, the thing of it is when somebody comes to my restaurant to eat at my restaurant, they're paying a price, but most of the people that come to Menards or Myers or Home Depot, they're not all from this area here, or even for all the events that we have around here, they're not just basically from this area.
I agree.
You know, so I mean, to say that it's not fair to charge, you know, something at the door, well, we're not trying to hurt that business. It's basically, you know, let the people that are coming from all other support us as well.
John, a quick question. Do you have a local property, local property transfer tax? Do you guys do that?
No, real estate, no, you have to do that via referendum. The famous exit tax, we do not have that, unfortunately.
And it is something that you could do.
As they leave, they pay it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a pretty
And
good.
then as they come, they pay
Pretty
it.
steady, especially with the real estate escalation. So. But there's a diminishing return with tax, in particular with home rule sales tax and local taxes, local gas tax. So Cook County's proven that. They break the rule all the time. People don't buy their cigarettes or booze in Cook County because they overtax it. And you could have the same risk here by increasing some of the pass-through taxes that you have.
Right.
And not realizing the gain that you would think.
But right now, isn't
People are fickle.
Isn't Orland Park at like 9.7? They're at 10%?
They're over 10%.
Over 10%? I mean, and we're still at 8%. So I mean, have we even looked at, you know, raising our taxes, our sales tax a little bit, or looking into, I mean, like Ruben was said, you know, we need to get a little bit more creative. I mean, you know, I'm looking at places that their cannabis sales are, they're getting 28%.
I mean, if you want to bring cannabis in, you could do that. I would be.
I'm
I
just
would
looking to
against
be
it, and I
creative,
see the
yeah.
money that comes in.
Yeah.
But everything follows that too. Stop and think about it. Guy's going to get some pot, he's got money in his pocket. When he leaves, he's got money and drugs in his pocket. What does that bring in here? I mean, look at what we have coming in right now where we're having addicts.
No different than alcohol. The same thing.
It is, because, I mean, I don't think they're gonna be shaking down some guy that's drunk, but they're gonna be shaking down some guy that's got cash in his pocket and some pot.
I know a lot of upstanding citizens that do very well and smoke. I'm not one of them. But that would be lumping everybody in the same box. But I get what you're saying.
Here, we gotta get back to this, though. We need to know where we're at, and like, what are we at? 2.9 that we're gonna borrow?
I think the discussion could go a few ways. I think that we've come to around a $2.4 million levy that we would have to post for, because it's over 5%.
Which would be 900,000 more than what we've already got with a 1.5.
Correct. We also could levy the same amount as last year, or we could levy 0, or we could levy anything in between. That's, or above.
But that's something we have to, and you have to understand, you get a levy once. You get the levies for the year. So you have to make, and don't forget, it's for the next year. So we have to get something down right now so we don't, when the winter comes and it decides to snow, we've got the money to pay for it. Because if we don't, it's all on us.
So let me ask, the way we've been running it in the past year, right? How did we do that? We're at half.
$1 million out of motor fuel tax.
Okay. So.
Which is really earmarked for IDOT road infrastructure projects.
So that's the county motor fuel tax?
That's the state motor fuel tax.
State motor fuel?
Now, let me ask, isn't there a surplus every year from the general fund that's usually dumped into the parks fund that's joined with that? Oh, here, let me back up. There's 2 MFTs, right? There's one from the county and then the local motor
Right.
fuel. Which one were you referring to?
State. It's
The state.
state and local.
State.
Okay.
It's a per capita tax, so it's distributed based on population. That's the state motor fuel tax, which is a very restricted fund, very, very restricted on its
uses?
Expenses.
Yeah.
So we use that for the road resurfacing program this year. We used $1 million of MFT to fund the road resurfacing project.
And then the local one is dedicated to the parks.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty much where we're at. We need to do this, we need to do this soon. I don't like waiting until the 28th. I would rather do it earlier than the 28th because we don't want to take any chances. Let's just say COVID comes in and everything is devastated again, then we could run into a problem because no one's there to be able to do what they're supposed to be doing. Let's not take the chance of missing our levy.
It's difficult to raise the levy. This is going to be kind of the new benchmark going forward. It's going to be extremely difficult to raise it any more than 5%. You can always lower it. You could rebate it. And this is a very uncertain year. We haven't even had winter yet, and we just don't know. We don't know what kind of savings we're going to incur from village management over the township management. We just don't know.
And isn't there supposed to be a truth in taxation hearing if you go over 5%?
That's correct.
Correct.
So what do we do?
Well, today's a no vote, right?
Yep, today is a no vote.
But we need to get an idea of what we're going to do and get this thing done before we can't.
I mean, personally, I'm not comfortable implementing a tax just to see how it goes and then backtrack a year later. I mean, these are businesses, these are people we are directly impacting. I mean, I'm not comfortable giving an answer right here, right now. I have more research that I need to do. I'd like to see some more information on full assessments and reports on things that we can do. I mean, I want the minimal impact on residents and businesses as well. I mean, that's ideal.
Well, the case number 4 is giving them money back.
Right.
Two.
No.
Well, not giving it back.
Not giving it back.
Less.
It would be less.
$300,000 market value home. 0.
Okay.
That's case 2, correct?
No, that's 4.
Or,
2 is the one we've been talking about mostly.
2, though, they'd be getting $27 back
According to your.
Well, not back, they're just gonna get it off, well, they'd be off, it would be off. All right, but it's still not raising it. And now we have a year that we're going to be doing what we're supposed to be doing and taking care of the roads, and at the end of the day, you know what we're gonna be at the end. Honestly, this is the first time we're doing it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a learning process, no matter how you look at it. I would rather have the money there to know that we can get this thing done. If we have to go into home rule, and John knows how I hate touching home rule money. It should stay in there for an emergency or for something that's needed in the village. So, but at the end of the day, we have to do something. We have to do something fast.
Can I ask a, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to ask a question real fast, because for some reason, maybe I'm just not understanding. But the Homer Township had collected this money already. And from what I thought I understood is nobody knows where that money is going. Is that the question?
The 3 million?
The 3 million, is that correct? So can we start off at least leaving this meeting and heading over there to ask Mr. Supervisor?
I think that's a great idea.
What the plan is, so we can at least get through this year?
From what I understand, they were going to issue a rebate.
Rebate to the residents?
Whoever paid into the...
Maybe we can have a discussion to... Transfer it, or
transfer our 63%.
Something? Can we work?
That just helps us out this year. What are we going to do?
What do we do the next time?
At least you guys can see what it's actually going to cost, though.
Yes.
They're still going to need, you know,
They have operations.
or $500,000 to run their district for their unincorporated roads. And
Well, even if it's 2 million, at least we're closer to that number where we could at least see where it's going to happen in a year. And I mean, I don't vote, but I agree with Nicole. I hate to tax somebody something just to see. But at the same time, I understand what you're saying, and it will be less. But however, it's less from last year, not from the previous year. Let's take last year out of the equation, go back to the original first year. What number is that really going to be?
I'm in agreement with
I believe there might be an increase at that point, right?
The total aggregate levy from 2019 was it was slightly over $5 million, I believe. So the total aggregate levy in case 2 shows 4.5, so that would still be a little reduction. And if we remove the park, as is kind of the direction from the board, it would be 4.2. So it still would be a lower aggregate levy than 2 years ago. It wouldn't be as noticeable from last year, to Trustee Pasmino's point. That was a blip. So comparing it to even 2 years ago, which was a typical year in at least how things have been done, it would still be a minor reduction. I don't know what that number would be in terms of how much cheaper, but it would maybe 10.
So I had a quick question. So projecting, like, let's say the Public Works is in full swing, it's been active for 2 years. Are there any projections on what those costs to maintain a Public Works will be in that time?
so there's operational costs and there's capital outlay. 'Cause I'm hearing they're having some issues with a truck or two, and those are $250,000 trucks. So just operationally, it's probably about 3 million, but we should be able to run it a little bit less than that, but the township was running it around a little more than that. I'd say that's a pretty fair estimate, but you have to work in about 3 to 5 year trends because of the blips from winter, extreme weather, extreme fuel costs. There's a lot of volatility that run the numbers up and down pretty extreme. So I'm giving you really informal numbers. I'd rather give you something more thought out. Can I do that for you?
Sure.
John, you know, you mentioned something about we could do a rebate, which sounds fantastic if we actually brought in too much money, right? Have you worked with rebates like Crestwood? Crestwood, historic, for a long time was giving their...
A lot of communities do that.
Right, but have you worked with that before, and the complications of it, how difficult would that end up being?
You know, some communities just take a portion of it and rebate it, and they'll hire a company to do it. They'll hire somebody to do it. I know that there was discussion about reversing the levies, because the township and the village were levying for the same thing. We didn't know they had to, because they didn't know who would end up with it. but there was discussion about revoking the levy, even after it was passed. And I don't know if that was allowed or not, but I haven't worked with it, but I know that it's fairly common. This year will be a benchmark for your real estate taxation, and nobody likes it. But if you lowball it, you're going to really suffer trying to get it back up if you need it. It's that pain. The pain is the same, whether it's 2.5 million or 3.5 million. From an elected official standpoint, the pain is the same. It's tax. It's a minimal. We're trying to minimize the impact to the residents, but it looks terrible on paper.
Thank you.
All right, so we still have to come up with something because after this meeting, we don't have anything again until the 22nd.
When you say
So
come up with
process-wise,
something,
yeah.
Could you please explain what you mean by come up with?
Sure.
Well,
So process-wise, if the village is going to raise it more than 5% over the $1.5 million, we need to post a notice in the paper at least 7 days before the meeting where the final vote is taken.
okay.
If we come up with that number tonight, we'll have it in the paper Friday.
But that's almost like we're voting on something.
Well, it's not a final act.
You can turn it away if you don't want
You
it.
could still vote it down at that time, that is true.
You're saying that you have the option to levy up to that amount. You don't have to up to that amount, but because it's 5% over, you have to at least advertise for it.
Okay, so we advertise for it. What's the next move after that, to actually get the levy put through or in, since this is all new to us?
That we have a special meeting on a date that we would
And
determine,
that has to be before what day?
the 28th,
28th?
correct.
So, okay.
And then what do you do if we were to vote no?
Well, we wouldn't have a property tax, and then we would just,
Use home rule sales tax.
We don't have that much in home rule sales.
No, it'll go, and then when you have to pay for something, you'll have to bond it out.
I would say you have to move
Tax bill then.
quickly. I
Can I ask one more question? This might help. So in 2019, Matt, or John, maybe you can explain, my house is worth $300,000, and I paid $9,000 in taxes. And now you guys proceed with case 3. What would my tax go up? I don't want to use 2021 because that year was just goofy. So
Well,
I want to use real numbers.
$5 million increase on a $300,000 house last year cost about, it was either $43 or $47. I thought it was 43. We projected it at 57, it came in at 43.
Yeah,
So
that's right. It was 57 and it went down to 43.
That was from 19 to 20. So if.
so that would be about, that would,
It came down, that's what I know. Sorry.
And you said for case, which case did you want to know?
Well, what I'm trying to explain is, I understand that the township is going down, so we have the right to go up to that number. So there's no difference in what people see on their tax bill, is what I'm trying to say. They might see it in a different line item, like the township paid this and the road district paid this, but now they're just going to see it that Homer Glen is charging it. So I don't want to see a dollar be raised for a tax dollar for the residents. So if we don't want to go up that dollar, what are we looking to collect? Do you following what I'm saying?
sure. So the total levy for 2019 was about $5.1 or $5.2 million. What we've been discussing most is a revised case 2 that we see before us, so that the total aggregate levy would be approximately 4.2. So I think that, I don't know, John, the impact on a taxpayer if we were to reduce the aggregate levy by $1 million from what it was in 2019 to now.
Well, it would be 2/3 of the $43 increase, so it would be
31 bucks.
28 bucks or something like that.
So it's the 43 plus the 28.
Well, no, well, the words mixed up here.
Okay.
So from 19 to 20, you paid $43 more in property taxes.
19 to 20, yes.
Okay? So from 20 to 21, which case are you talking about?
Two.
What levy? 2?
2. Well, I'm asking you, which case would you go with if I didn't want an increase at all?
Well, if you went with case 2, your taxes would go down.
From 21 to 22.
19 to 21, they would go down about.
Case 2, as
It'd be a
proposed, would be
break-even.
lower than the 2019 levy on the taxpayers. It would be a decrease.
So what's the hiccup, I guess? If it's going to go down, because 19 was a regular year, forget last year's, because we all know that the double taxing, as Ruben referred to, was crazy. So if we're talking 2019, and they're proposing case 2, it won't be $27. It may approximately, according to the numbers that Matt just said, it might be about $10 it would go down.
It'll be net zero almost.
It's 0?
Yeah.
So it'd be an even break. So what, I guess the question is.
So, I mean, that's something, when I spoke of it, I said, well, why can't we do something where there is no increase? So I guess that's to your point.
Yeah.
Go on.
No,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I was going to ask Mayor Yukich, being that we have the 4 options before us, which would be the one you would pick?
Either 2 or 4.
And John, to help the village and to best keep us functioning, out of the 4 options, and you were up here, what would you pick?
Well, as the finance director,
Yes.
I would pick 4, and I would rebate any excess and lower your future tax levy to what we find to be a reasonable amount.
Okay. And the reason I asked that earlier about rebate is I just read an article about what a nightmare it is to go through the process of rebate. So that would be my only reservation with something like that.
Orland Park's been doing it for
Understood.
20 years. Lennox does it.
Crestwood does it.
Yeah, there's a lot of communities that do it.
Right. But to get started or to do it just for one time is supposed to be
There's
pretty.
cost involved in it, but.
There's cost involved, and it's not an easy process from what I've read. But, so you'd go with 4, and the mayor said you'd go with.
Either 2 or 4. I like 4 the best.
But that's a big difference between two and 4, though, isn't it?
But I guess if there's no increase from 2019, because that was the main goal, right, guys? You guys didn't want to increase somebody's property tax. Or, I'm sorry, you didn't want to implement a tax. So if they're just moving the funds over and there's no tax increase from 2019 to now, why wouldn't you go with case 2, I guess is my question.
That's exactly how it was explained with the $1.5 million in December of 2020.
And it didn't work out
So
well.
that's where I think there's a little reservation.
Okay, so it's a reservation. Okay, because that makes sense to me. I get that it's not a $27 credit. I get that because of the numbers. I understand.
But the case 4 would give a little bit of a credit, and sometimes that's what the people are looking for. They, I don't know if anyone says, okay.
I understand,
here's
but the
last year's.
first year, do we really want to bite that, do we really want to take that bullet? I mean, maybe we start baby steps.
That's absolutely fine.
That's why it's a 3-year blended number.
So then it's either going to be case 2 or case 4. So, but let's.
So if we can make the recommendation to
Well,
proceed
case
with
2, it's a break
case
even, right?
2.
And then we review some of the things that we talked about with
And speak to
other
Balish.
streams of revenue, not taxes, just easing up on regulations and dishing out more licenses and allowing people to make money so it could trickle back with sales tax. That's how I think it should be.
Can I make a recommendation? Is that you do your truth and taxation notice for case 4, just to have it on the books. And then if at that meeting you decide you're not going to go that high, that's when you make that decision. But obviously it sounds like everybody's talking between 2 and 4. If you go with 2, you wouldn't need your truth and taxation notice, but you're not going to be.
2 would require it still.
I'm sorry?
Case 2 still would require, I know.
Yeah, because it's 5% over.
Anything over 1.575.
Oh, I see, I got you. All right.
And zeros, the only reason I look at case 2 and case 4. Case 4 is 0. There's no addition on it right now. Case 2, you're getting a little bit of a rebate.
I understand that, but my purpose of saying that
And I understand what you're saying.
is if you speak to Balich, he might give you $1 million or $2 million. We don't know. So that could be the fluffer or the buffer that we need.
Supervisor Balich is looking to delete all his line items. He's looking to get rid of line items. He doesn't want, because basically what I'm saying, he's already collected it though. He already collected this from the residents. He has it in his budget already.
And he's had it for a few months right now. So it's
So to help us.
I told him a long time ago, get it back, because that's how we got into trouble with what we owe.
Right, because he did say he did levy more than what he was going to use.
Well, he didn't do the levy. Mike DeVivo did the levy.
Right.
So, but he got the levy because
He got the levy, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the hardest thing here right now is we're walking into something that we don't know what's going to happen.
No, it's just one.
But that's not our fault.
It's not anyone's fault. Because you had the money coming in from the township and you had the money coming in from the village. Now you don't have any money coming in from the township. So it's really nobody's fault. Someone's trying to, no matter what, the people are going to be paying the tax. So I like what John said. Set it for case 4, and if you want to change it over to case 2, change it over to case 2.
Well, I guess either one needs a hearing, so it doesn't matter. They don't need to make a decision tonight. They can just go for the public hearing, make more discussion then. They can do their investigation, talk to Balich, look into taking,
Okay. But we
numbers.
have to know that we're going to be able to have it when we come to the 22nd, because that's the last chance we have to put the levy in.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the other thing is, the levy is, the date that we had put out there is December 22nd. So do we all have to be in here? Can it go under consensus?
I mean, it would take a formal vote. We could, remote participation would be permitted.
As long as we can do that on the 22nd.
Or can we switch that date?
It could be a different date. The earliest we could do it, if the notice is on Friday, would be the next Friday, which is the 17th.
I thought, did we talk about if we had to have a special meeting, did we not discuss the 13th, that Monday?
Yeah. You wouldn't have enough time.
Unfortunately, the notice has to be 7 days.
Yes, they have 7 days, right?
Oh, okay.
Unless we did less than 1.5, which...
Yeah.
And then how would you come to a determination about whether it being 2 or 4 on the date of the vote?
I guess there'd be
That's
up
why
to
I
you
said I want
guys.
to make sure we get this thing done
I
quickly.
suppose the board would make a motion to what the levy would be and
And then do the vote right after that?
correct. The hearing and the vote can be on the same day.
Okay.
That's why you might want to give yourself a later date to give yourself more time to investigate what you need
Oh,
to.
no, I think we need to explore a lot of,
So if it needs to be done by the 20th, I'm sorry if I'm trying to move
Well, it
this
has to be
forward,
done by
but
the 28th, but I would
Right.
like to just,
Can we do the 20th, Monday the 20th?
I don't care.
That work? That works
I
for
would
me?
do, the 20th would work for me.
Yes?
Trustee Laha? Mayor Yukich?
Yeah, I'm absolutely.
Attorney
fine.
Hansen?
Yeah, that works.
Trustee Pizza? I'm so tired. Trustee Reinders? And Trustee Bialko?
20th sounds good.
All right, so there's no action taken, but now at least everyone has an idea of what we're trying to do and where we can do it.
What time did we, same time?
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Mr. Sawyers will not be there. Is that okay with all of you?
I mean, if anyone has any questions, then call John. Don't email him. The same thing is for me. Don't email me. I don't look at that crap. Call me. That's the best thing. You know, do what they used to do 50 years ago or 20 years ago. Jesus, now everything's on paper.
I have a quick question. The 22nd, are we still having a meeting on the 22nd?
Well, if we can get this thing done on the 20th, then there's no reason to
Right,
have it,
that-
because there's
that's
nothing that's pending that bad.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
Right. I mean, if there's something else that we might have to throw in there that can't wait, you know, until after Christmas, then we can throw that in there. We'll all be here. Everyone said they're good with the 20th.
At 7 PM, correct?
Do you really, I mean, I don't care. I don't care if it's 5, 6, or 7. I just can't do it before that because I'm still working.
Ribbon Rose?
Yes.
Yeah, they all said yeah. Oh, the
That's
20th,
fine.
right?
7?
That's fine.
Nicole, 7, okay.
Yep.
Jennifer?
I already did this. Bianco.
I would. How about 5:30?
I can do
5:30?
whatever, I'm free.
5:30?
Is everyone 5:30?
5:30?
I can do anything, that's fine.
5:30?
So 5:30, December 20th.
5:30, it's fine with me too.
Okay.
So 5:30?
That's fine.
Okay, I gotta put the posting in, so.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I showed up at 5 today because I thought there was a meeting.
no issue. All right.
Okay.
Well, all right, well, here's the last one.
Oh, Lordy.
The next item would be executive session.
Oh, you got old business, no old business?
Well,
No new business?
is an old business, but
Okay.
if we got that, it's going to be that much later.
I don't know, I'm looking at them.
It's going on 11 o'clock right now. I get up at 3.
Are we going to executive session?
I think we should. Anyone else?
It's going to take about an hour, if
Yeah.
not longer, just so everybody knows.
Unless you guys want to do it on that day of.
You know, can,
20th?
Eric, Mr. Attorney Hanson, can I ask this?
You want to do it on the
On the
20th?
20th?
I have copies for all of the trustees of the drafts,
All right.
and approved, but not released.
All right, let's do that. Let's just put this off till the 20th and
Well, what I was
well,
gonna-
now it's 5:30, so it's actually, we can be out of here by 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Okay, but what I was going to ask is there any possible way, since I have the printouts already for the 2021s that have not been approved, is it okay if they take them home? Can't we pass something where they can take something home to review and then bring back?
Yeah.
Thought we could.
But they have in the past. I've heard that in executive session when I listened. So is this something that we can or cannot do?
We did. I believe it was Eric and George that had taken it home.
You mean passing out everything to everybody ahead of time? So basically, you could review them now before the meeting?
Is what I would like, just to
Yes.
save
I'm sorry.
time.
Yes, you can do
So
that.
they're just drafts, though. They're complete drafts. They're not to be shared, blah, 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 that whole
Yes.
stuff.
If we can do that, I'd like to do that.
Just to at least
Yes.
cut down some time on the meeting.
I misunderstood you. Yes, you absolutely can.
Sorry, I
Thank
don't have
you.
envelopes.
And thank you for having them.
Thank you.
Had them for months.
All right, so the 20th, 5:30, and we'll have some executive session too.
Do we have to make the announcement that the 22nd is canceled though? at this moment?
Let's wait till we get this thing done on, I think that we can cancel it, there should be no issue.
Oh, you want to wait till after the 20th? Okay.
Yeah, this way, God forbid something big comes up and then everyone, I don't think anything would, Dan, but unfortunately, you don't know.
Okay, so who's making the motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. Eric?
Beautiful. All right.
Okay, thanks, man.
Yeah, all the trustees got to wait a second until you get a copy of the,
Okay.
All right, good job. Thanks, you too. So,